Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody around the world, I would like to welcome you to the brand new New Year's edition of The Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Make some noise. Clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We are back in the brand new year. That's right. We made it. We did it. We've arrived right on time, right on schedule. And what better way to bring in the new year 2025 with the hottest show in all the globe right here on YouTube and every podcasting platform imaginable. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We are back. We'll bring you another year of fun, of excitement, of energy, of well-rounded debates, facts, opinions, and more, all for your viewing and listening pleasure. And like we always say on this show, right in the chat, leave a comment on whatever you would like to discuss, whatever your thoughts are, opinions are, on whatever topics that we discuss on the day. Hey, feed them to me. Let's see what you got. Let's start this year off strong with a dominant display of constant comments, likes, reactions, whatever the word you want to do. Leave them here, and also leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire of a community together. Again, thank you so much for tuning in and taking time out of your day to spend it with me as we go over the world of sports as a whole. Absolutely. Excuse me real quick. Let me just adjust my camera. I want y'all to see me as perfectly as possible. We run a tight ship here on the Welch Report. Doggone it, we don't waste no time and no effort. We give you the energy, the fervor, and the quality production of a high caliber show. Because we are a high caliber show. Let's be perfectly frank. We're the best there is. We're the best there was. And we're the best that there's ever gonna be. Doggone it, you're absolutely right. We gonna run the show coming into the new year. We absolutely are gonna take over in this sports medium, and it's all thanks to, again, you watching, listening. But with all of that self-promotion out the way, Happy New Year. Hopefully you enjoyed all your festivities. Hopefully you had a Merry Christmas. And hopefully now you got your resolutions and yourself in check to make this year the best year that you've ever had. And whatever hardships come your way, trust and believe, you can get through it. Because we here, if you're part of this empire, brother, you strong. You're a warrior. You're a soldier. You can get through anything. You're a Terminator. There's nothing that can stop you. Nothing that can break you. Nothing that can hinder you from what you want to do. You know why? Because you are a different breed. You're not a dog. No, you're a beast. Forget having that dog in you. You got a beast in you. You got a fighter in you. Get that out of you. Take it out of you and put it onto the world. That's what you can do to achieve everything that you want. And I wholeheartedly will be with you every step of the way to see what you got going on, because I believe in you and you believe in you as well. So with all that out the way, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We got a jam-packed show for you all today. Trust and believe, I guarantee you. We got news on Crawford versus Canelo potentially happening in the by this year in the summer. Again, rumors, and we're going to talk about the rumors. We also got Lomachenko potentially returning to the boxing ring if we see how surgery goes. Remember, we had said that he was going to retire. But now, where has the sentiment changed? Will the Matrix still exist and essentially shake up the mainframe of boxing once again, depending on what his doctors say? Oh, we got to talk about that as well as if we have time, some NBA action, talking about trades going in as we approach the trade deadline of the NBA. Finally, we've had some moves taking place, specifically with the Los Angeles Lakers being the most significant moves that have been made, at least of recent, at least with a big market team, as well as with the Kings. And hey, they've been going all over the place. What in the world is going on in Sacramento? My gosh, everybody's getting fired left, right, and center. DeMar DeRozan's hot. Fox is hot. The whole organization. What happened from a team that had a coach of the year in 2023 and was looking to be one of the rising stars on top of with OKC, not in terms of talent, but in terms of the youth being able to rise to look to be a future title contender. Not on the same track as OKC, but similar in the vein. They're building the right way. All of a sudden, everything's imploding. What is going on? Why is all that taking place? And as you already know, when it comes to the end of the show, we will have, hey, the championship rounds. Whatever you want to discuss and talk about, leave it in the chat, put it in the comments. We got 30 minutes. We're going to try to keep it on a strict lockdown regimen. If you want, whatever you want to discuss, whatever you want to talk about, put it in the chat in those last 30 minutes once I ring the bell and get the championship round started. And hey, we're going to have ourselves a time, are we not? But with all that out the way, let's talk about the biggest news of the day, which is Canelo versus Crawford. Will it happen? And also, with that being said, since we're talking about boxing, it is time. Oh, let's step into the ring. That's right. Hey, ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show. Going underway, we have to discuss Canelo versus Crawford as the rumor mill swirls within the new year, as the time for essentially reinvigorated excitement for the boxing scene has gone and taken over and swept through the sports world, with Usyk beating Tyson Fury, with Daniel Dubois and Big Bang Jang, Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield. We got fights left, right, and center. Bebo versus Better Be. Everybody's looking to be the start of the new year. It's looking to be very exciting, but with a fight that everybody has been has been very intense in their watching of whether it will unfold, as well as the rumor mill now swirling with anticipation. Canelo versus Crawford looks like it may actually happen. To the shock of us all, to the shock of everybody around the globe, when it seemed like we were saying it's too much of a jump, it's too big, there's no way that Canelo would even want to work with Turkey Al-Sheikh, as he's talked about before. The money is going to be too outrageous. All this stuff is what's been talked about. But now, new things have swirled around with potentially, again, rumors. Let's preview this. Hold on now. Wait a minute. It's rumors. All of this is speculation. Let's get it out the way right now. Nothing is concrete. Nothing is set in stone. And nothing is at a point where anything solidifies. No, don't shoot the messenger if all of a sudden all stuff don't go the way. But the rumor mill, I don't know why I'm struggling with that. The rumor mill is swirling and turning that they are going to start talking, essentially have already started talking, at the start of January. That's right, at the start of the year. And the fight potentially will be on Cinco de Mayo. That's right. The is that Mexican Independence Day? I believe. Excuse me if I get the dates of the Hispanic and Mexican holidays wrong. I apologize. But either way, one of the biggest Mexican celebrations, Mexican holidays of the year, arguably the biggest in history, and solidified as Canelo Day, the day of Canelo, essentially, in the world of sports and boxing. He runs the show. He runs the gamut. He runs the world, essentially, not just of boxing, but of sports, period. When it comes to Cinco de Mayo, it's his time. It's his day. And now the dance party may just be Terrence Crawford, one of the most high profile and one of the most essentially intriguing, as well as absolutely, we'll say, hyped up events that we would experience if it indeed does happen. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think if this fight will and won't happen. But before we do that, actually, before we even continue, we got people in the comments. Let's see what you all got. Who is it? Kingdom with them, what's up? How you doing? Hello, what's going on with the? Glad to see that you here, that you made it to the new year. Absolutely. Appreciate you joining in on the show and happy that you're tuning in to the show. Absolutely. What else you got going on? Let's see. We still got comments coming in. I like to transfer some, transfer some of that energy. Oh, hey, look, you don't need to transfer the energy. You got it in you. You need it. You already got it. This excitement is just perpetuate. I am simply a mirror for what you already got inside you. Oh, yes, indeed. Get excited. Be all enthralled with the action of the day. Now, I will say, if I had gotten here on 12 o'clock, I would even more hyped up. But we're going to try a new time today, seeing how people go. Normally, people come in around 1:10, so we're going to see how this goes. If not, I'm bumping my butt back to 12 o'clock, and we're going to start there, and we ain't going to change that. Oh, no. We're going to try something new for the new year. But, hey, we'll see what happens based on this show. But either way, regardless of which, hey, the thing is, you don't need to transfer no energy. You got it already. This is exactly what we do. The new year is all about not just new experiences, but bettering what you already improved on the last year. So, you want the energy? You got the energy. Put in the effort. Put in the work. Absolutely. And I'm here to encourage you. You can do it. You can make it. On your work, on your job, wherever the case you may be, wherever you are. Absolutely. This is your time to shine. I wish you're here. It's your time. It's your moment. Take it. Grab hold of it. Grasp it. And make it your own. Absolutely. Because I know you can. And again, you know you can as well. But again, all that out the way, all that again, well, not all that out the way. We love to encourage and give people some excitement and some hope for what they can achieve going into the year. But again, Warlock Boxing, what's up with you? Salute, glad you're here. Appreciate you joining in on the hottest show in all the globe, the Welch Report, with me, Jean-Luc Welch, as well as for those of you just tuning in. We come in here every single week. We try to come here every week from around 12 o'clock, trying to do time of one, but normally 12 o'clock, anywhere available on every podcasting platform imaginable. After the streams, you can see us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and wherever you can see any types of podcasts or listen to, any podcast. As well as, again, you can rewatch it right here on YouTube. Share the show, share it with your friend, all that stuff out. Yeah, absolutely. But now that we have what we have going on, let's talk about the business. What do you feel about Canelo versus Crawford? Will it, in fact, happen? And then I'll give my opinions on this whole spiel on whether or not this will be an actual possibility, or if this is just another hyped up dream that's got everybody excited but will never come to fruition. But let's see what you guys say. Kingdom Within, what you got to say? Bud's gonna stop Canelo hands out. Now really? Now hold on, that's another conversation. Now wait a minute. Hold up. Whoa. Put the brakes a little bit. Wait a second. You're talking about one of the biggest upsets that we would see in boxing from a historical context, one of the greatest achievements from an historical context. If we did see Terrence Crawford move up from 154 to 168 to beat Canelo, my God, especially with Canelo still being in his, again, physical prime, so he may have declined slightly, though he may have declined a little bit. Even still, it would be an incredible feat if he did do that. But you think he's going to stop Canelo? Not just beat him, but stop him, knock him out cold, make the ref come in and step in, make the corner throw in the towel. If he does do that, you know what? Let's save it. Hold on. Let's not move too quickly. That's a conversation we're going to save for later on in the show. What happens if he does achieve this incredible feat? But again, we can't give up all the goods at the moment. Let's save a little bit. We're going to get back to that conversation though. If we do see Crawford beat Canelo, what does this mean for him when it comes to the annals of boxing history? And it's going to be a shakeup, trust and believe. The only thing Canelo got on Bud is his durability. Other than that, all Bud Crawford, his skills will pay the bills. Hey, I completely understand the sentiment. Absolutely. I get it. Crawford is one of the most technical boxers that we've seen in history. Arguably the greatest switch hitter that we've seen in boxing history. It's either between him or marvelous Marvin Hagler, one of the two. But either way, his road to greatness has been paved with bodies, legitimately, because there is a man who, up until match-up, Bud was knocking out 11 people straight. Had a record, again, his record is 41-31. Is it 42-31 or 41-31? One of those two. But either way, he's one of the better punchers that the entirety of the sport has to offer. The question is, how is his durability going to be against Canelo? But again, that's a whole other conversation. We'll break down that later on. But we got people jumping into this. Jaden, brother, how you doing? What's good with you? What's going on? Joining in on the show. Glad you made it out. Hopefully you left a like on the stream, on the show, to help get the algorithm up and going. Push it to everybody that you know, so you can help make the whole, your family, your friends, your haters, whoever, your enemies, I don't care who you are, everybody is going to want to tune in to hear what we got to say right here on the channel. But let's see what you have to say yourself, Jalen. Yeah, I think people seem to forget that Crawford has a good chin, and they do. Absolutely. They forget that Crawford's chin is something that is incredible. Yes, I believe he's been dropped once earlier in his career, but he wasn't hurt. It was more so he got caught off balance, and then boom, got down, got back up, and inevitably knocked the brother out afterwards, very shortly after. He's taken some legitimate shots and punches. We saw what he did, taking the few punches that he did take from Errol Spence Jr. He ate Errol Spence Jr.'s best shot, the left hand, and literally walked through. We've seen this man go through wars from volume to outright power through a dimension or multiple dimensions of styles of fighters. All of whom have some legitimate pop to him, and still is able to keep on trucking. And when he does get hurt, he'll turn it up, he'll turn it on, and he'll end the show when necessary, not when necessary, when he feels that the time is right. Because every time Terrence Crawford steps up his game, well, now we're looking at a different beast. We're now looking at a different animal. We are now looking at a completely different weapon entirely. It's almost like if you play video games, you have a skill tree of sorts, and some of it is unlocked, some of it is locked up until you either A, in certain games, achieve certain requirements, or B, get enough skill points, or C, level up to a certain level. You can't unlock those different skill sets. And also, skill sets unlock in specific situations. With Crawford, he has been able to use only what he needs to beat his opponent. But when called upon, all of a sudden, that next skill tree unlocks. That next dimension, that next level, that sixth gear that we always talk about. Always talk about it. There's only a handful of boxers today that have that sixth gear that they can elevate themselves to. Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, Usyk, in a way, Gervonta Davis. I would argue David Benavidez, but again, he's just always on such a high gear. We'll probably see if that sixth gear exists, or even if he needs to use it, when we see him versus David Morrell come February 1st. And again, the slew of dockets of boxing as a whole going into this new year is indeed quite remarkable and incredible. But again, let's keep on topic with what we got going on. What your opinions on Crawford versus Canelo, no more so how you feel about the fight, and what do you think is going to be the likelihood that it will actually happen? But let's see what people got to say. Many people kind of butt out because of the weight difference, but I strongly feel that when it comes to ring IQ, Bud is far too good when compared to Canelo. That is an understandable statement with the IQ that we know Crawford has. Now, let's not disrespect Canelo. Also, there's a reason why he's the best 168 pounder, and still, even with him not fighting David Benavidez, is still a lock on the pound for pound list, even on a decline in his career. It's because the IQ that Canelo has in his own way is absolutely incredible. The very reason he's able to even compete at 175 versus people like Kovalev, even have the notion of I can get in the ring with somebody like a Bebo, is because the IQ that he displays is indeed incredible. So let's not go and discount what he does bring to the table also. But I completely understand your sentiment on the IQ and the skills will win the day. Let's see, Kingdom. If Bud decides to use all of his weapons, it's a wrap for Canelo. So I see we got some Crawford fans up in there. I completely understand, completely agree. But again, whether or not he'll win the fight, that's a completely another conversation. Right now, the biggest thing, will the fight even take place? That's why, this is why I wanted to talk about it. The rumors are indeed incredible. And again, Bud is a dog. You're absolutely right. Bud is an absolute dog. You got two dogs, two warriors, two beasts going at it. Two of some of the best of a generation. If this does take place, but will it take place anyway? Will it take place at all? What is the likelihood that this actually happens? Because you have to understand, let's go through the history of why there may be some concern that even though it's a possibility, even though it's rumored that we have some talks going on behind the scenes, will it actually take place? Because when we look at the track record of Canelo and Crawford and this whole build up to it, remember Crawford went and beat Errol Spence, knocked him out, boom, destroyed him, absolutely. Did away with him, gained the pound for pound number one spot. Then afterwards went through and said, hey, I want to fight Canelo next. Okay, boom, let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. All of a sudden, oh, it's preposterous. Oh, it's ridiculous. Everybody was saying, oh, this brother feels he can really conquer the world. Now, granted, at that point in time, he was the hottest name in boxing. He was, at that point in time, the biggest ticket in boxing. He had reached beating Spence, had put him on that level of a Gervonta Davis, a Canelo Alvarez, a Tyson Fury, and an Anthony Joshua. Not in terms of outright revenue. We get that. There's a different level in the darlings of boxing, in the hierarchy of who is indeed the face of the sport and who brings in the biggest bag in the sport. There is a difference. Let's not get that twisted. No, it's Canelo at one, then you got Gervonta Davis, and there's a hodgepodge of who you want to go through that top five with Tyson Fury, who did I say? Tyson Fury, not Canelo. Shoot, you heard the names I said. Essentially, Crawford reached that upper echelon of tiers. I don't know why I'm blanking all of a sudden. My gosh, normally I'm on it. I don't know why I'm blanking, but there is a hierarchy. He reached that threshold of elite marketability and one of the biggest names in the sport. So anything is possible because now the money is right for what it would be. Absolutely. And so, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Before I even continue, yo, Trip G, how you doing? Brother, what's going on with you? Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Glad you made it. I'm glad you're coming through. Absolutely. And hey, you did say you'd be back. You kept to your word. I was always ready for you to come through anytime. You just sweep through the building. We are all excited just to have you in the midst of the best show in the world. The Welch Report with me, John Welch. At least that's what we're trying to make it. I appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you coming through. We talking about the likelihood of Canelo versus Terrence Crawford, and quickly going through the history of why this was potentially going to happen in the first place. For those of you who are unaware, on the timeline of events that made this fight up until this point actually possible. So as we continue throughout this timeline, breaking it down, he beats Crawford, or Crawford beats Spence, gets his name in the elite tier of one of the biggest faces in the sport. Even though the hyperbole of, my gosh, this may seem impossible that it would happen, that the fight could actually take place. Hey, with all that being said, even still, the name said that the money was right. So it's possible. Nothing's out the question. Then what do we see? Bing, bang, boom. We see him move up to 154. We see him beat Madrigal. Now he's in the same tier with Charlo, who got beat and destroyed by Canelo. Again, laid down like a lion, like a cub, not like a lion. That brother was absolutely horrendous. Hey, look at us. We got the problems. We got a problem. I'm telling you, the name of Charlo and saying Charlo brothers as a whole may just be going through the mud for a lot of people. Some people may have even forgotten that they were still fighting with how they've been going through these past couple years. But regardless of which, that takes place. We remember the performance of Charlo. We see what Crawford was able to do at 154. Now things are looking a little better. You beat Madrimov, who is one of the best 154 pounders in the world, outright, definitively, and you handle him in a very close and very hotly contested affair that you did indeed win. It was close, but you did win if you're Crawford. Showed you can handle yourself, showed in the later rounds you got some power. You actually started moving him around the ring as the fight was getting later and later, fully took control around 11 and 12. Boom. You can handle yourself. Bigger, stronger, still got all the legitimate skill sets. Going up against a tactician as Madrimov, a herky-jerky, awkward fighter, everybody looks bad. But with Crawford, with the context of what he was fighting against, good win. Absolutely. Now, Canelo goes through and fights Berlanga. Everybody hates it. Canelo doesn't fight Dave Benavidez. Benavidez moves up to 175. Now, the only recourse that we want to see is either Benavidez or bust. But with the added notion that if Crawford and Canelo did in fact happen, we would be interested. Now with all of this being said, we come to this moment. The two names are looking at each other, essentially saying, the money is right now. The time is right now. Will you fight Benavidez? Probably not. But will you fight me because you think I'm easy? Because you think, as Canelo has said himself, Crawford's an easy win. Crawford is easy work for me. Phenomenal fighter, but he's easy work. It would make all the sense in the world that it would take place. It would make all the sense in the world that a mega fight of epic proportions on Cinco de Mayo, on the level, on a time when we would witness legitimately one of the biggest audiences in boxing history, all convened on Cinco de Mayo. The world potentially would stop to see exactly what goes on with this fight. Because again, from a sense perspective, from a logic perspective, it's got everything. It has everything. It's got intrigue. It's got names. It's got legitimately the spectacle aspect of it. Who the world thinks that somebody from 154 is moving up to 168? Mind you, Crawford started at about 130, 135. I believe. So now, this brother who's gone through all these weight differences, now going up and fighting against Canelo, who is solidified as at that division. There is no equal. I don't care how you feel about him. There is no equal when it comes to that division of boxing. And so now, shoot, if he does pull off the impossible, we're looking at a man who history is made, more than history. The very foundation of what we see as an all-time great will get broken up and redistributed. And I don't say that in a bad way. I'm not saying we're knocking people off. No, I'm saying we have to chisel out room for Terrence Crawford if this indeed did happen. And it will be box office to witness that level of history, that level of potential spectacle. My gosh, that level of outright insanity on the part of Terrence Crawford. It would be ridiculous. Because let's be perfectly honest, most people would think Canelo would win. Size, durability, power, also with the speed and legitimate IQ that Canelo has, it's not like they're incredibly far apart. So no, but most people would say, yeah, Canelo will probably win. But the intrigue of what could happen if Crawford takes this risk and is okay, let alone if he wins, let alone if he knocks him out, but that's gonna draw hundreds of millions of dollars. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That would be insane. But even with all that being said, while it makes sense, strike while the iron is hot, make it so that you get the money while it's there. And while the fight is being up in the air, that everybody wants to grab onto, it really comes down to Canelo. Genuine. It comes down to Canelo. And again, Kingdom, we have to wait and see. That's a sentiment that some people have. It's a good fight. It is indeed a good fight. Absolutely. And again, not Canelo's most recent fights, even with Berlanga performed better than we expected. For Canelo, it was hard from what we expected and what we wanted from him in the first place. So all of this stuff, you all are saying it exactly like it is. All of this stuff about this fight makes sense. We're tired of Canelo not fighting people that we want to see him fight, specifically David Benavidez. He's the ultimate. And you didn't get in the ring with him. You haven't gotten in the ring with him, which is frustrating. Now, every other opponent you faced up until this point hasn't even been top-level talent. It's been people that we have seen as bottom or below, very below, the skill level of what you should be fighting on a consistent basis. Yes, every fight will not be a top 5, top 1 and 2 in terms of the best or second best, we get that. But in terms of on average, we know there is a standard that you have as Canelo, and you haven't done it. Fans are stressed out. Fans are frustrated. Oh, and Trip G, Happy New Year to you. Appreciate you coming in. Absolutely. Hold on. Let me not do away with people's well wishes. Yes, Happy New Year. My gosh, I went through this whole way and I was missing out on what people were saying. What's up, Jay Riggs? Yeah, Riggs. I got it. I almost messed up, but I didn't. What's going on? How you doing? Glad that you're here. Appreciate you. I'm so sorry I'm coming in slow. I did not mean to miss all your chats. My gosh. But no, hey, I'm glad that you're joining in. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a situation where when it comes to the makeup of this fight, it comes down to Canelo. We can talk about him slowing down, as, again, Jay Riggs has said. We can talk about him getting older. We can talk about him getting slower. We can talk, yes, Jaden said, not Jay Riggs, Jaden said, yeah, he's slowing down. All this stuff, it makes sense to make the fight. But it comes down to Canelo. And I say it comes down to Canelo because it's about, essentially, similar to Tyson Fury, where will he price himself at? Because let's be perfectly frank. We're dealing with, and again, other people understand the business side of boxing better than me. I will capitulate. But what I do understand, Crawford is with Turki Al-Sheikh. Turki Al-Sheikh is high on Crawford. Turki Al-Sheikh has been the man that has put on all of these undisputed and also mega fights and legitimate matchups with each other. So he has been the man that has been able to get cross promoters and everybody to work together because it's an offer you can't refuse, in the words to quote The Godfather. So with Canelo, he is one of two people that we can talk to and say, you have at least some leverage that you can use against Turki Al-Sheikh to get what you want because of what you already bring in your own right. There's a different tier bracket. Now, with all that being said, Canelo's the face of boxing. Canelo is at a level he is already a money machine. No question. But the issue becomes now, when it comes to a fight and where we're at with Canelo's stage in his career. Since we see him now operating not like he used to in his prime, not going after titles consistently, not chasing after greatness on a constant and consistent basis. What is it that we're going to see Canelo try to do? Most likely get some exorbitant number out of Turkey Al-Sheikh to get not just to the table, but to continue talks at a minimum. Genuine. And it's because he understands the power that he holds. This is what and again, I understand. I hate A-side, B-side conversations. I hate it. I think they're dumb. I think they're stupid. I think they're ridiculous. I think that there is a legitimate situation where for at least for the fans and for the fighters, it takes away from fights that we want to have. I understand exactly why it exists and why it is necessary. A-sides and B-sides. One fighter is a bigger name than another. Unequivocally. One fighter may have accomplished more than another. Absolutely. One fighter is indeed greater than another fighter. Yes. Hence, compensation should be done. Absolutely. However, for it to be so egregious that it makes it so that everything falls through, even when a fair deal is given, that's an issue. And when it's used against fighters to demean what they are from their talent, just because they're not worth, again, quote unquote, worth monetarily as much as another fighter, that is in and of itself another problem. So I hate it. I hate the conversation. But I understand it's necessary. Man, with this fight, Canelo would be the A-side. He is the A-side. And what did we see, just like with Tyson Fury? Price himself out or wait until he gets absolutely what he wants. And even still, now he would make more money than he would make at least as much money as he would have made for any of his other fights. Any of his other biggest attraction fights. He would get that from Turkey Al-Sheikh. But he can get more. Hence, he'll try to get more. He will attempt to use this tactic. The whole conversation surrounding all of these negotiations, or even if the negotiations have started, is if the money's right, we'll make it happen. You pay me enough, I'll go and do whatever. That's been the sentiment. So the question really becomes, how much is it that Canelo is going to want to have? What is he going to ask? What is he going to legitimately request? And again, Migs, what's going on? Appreciate you joining in on the show. Absolutely glad that you're here. Glad that you're tuning in. Hopefully you're leaving a like on the channel so we can get this stream up to the algorithms of all in the boxing and just in the sports world in general, because we talk about boxing and much more on this show. Absolutely. But specifically now we're talking about boxing and Canelo and Crawford. But let's see what you got to say. There's a reason Canelo's asking for $150 million to fight Bud. Canelo getting so you think he knows he's going to get beat. Hence why he's asking for so much. So now that's another thing. It could be that we're seeing Canelo drag this out if this is a fight that is legitimately on the table. Could be that he's dragging it out because maybe he feels that he's going to get beat. Maybe he feels that he's going to potentially not win. So if I'm going to get upset, at least let me make a payday on the way out. And again, I have to say, but Crawford is just on a whole different level, as many people in the chat, Kingdom Within as well as others have been saying. Crawford is indeed a different animal. Trip G, like I referenced earlier, striking while the iron is hot. This is the opportunity that, let's say Mig's point is true, hypothetically. It would make sense. If I'm going to lose, let me get all the money in the world. And again, speculation. My thoughts on it all as we go and because they're going through all these. So there's no fight I would want to see more than Canelo versus Bud. Really? Now that's a good question. Now really? Now wow. So there's no fight you would want to see more than Canelo versus Bud. Now I completely get it. I completely understand. I will ask you this though. If today, if I hypothetically broke the news that Benavidez and Canelo was happening definitively on Cinco de Mayo, would that be more of interest to you? Because that's the only other fight that I could see that would trump whatever else we would want to see. But I'm not trying to change your opinion. No, absolutely not. This is the fight that you're looking for. Look for it. Get excited for it. I'm excited for it. Absolutely. I completely get it. The only thing is, I would argue that if we got if we got Canelo versus Benavidez, that maybe that would at least be on that same level. Again, not trying to change your opinion, because I completely get it. This is a fight that if we don't get nothing else, this is what we want to see. This is what I want to see. Absolutely. For me, the only thing that would trump this most likely would be either Canelo versus Dave Benavidez and or Tank versus probably Teofimo Lopez. Tank versus Teo. Or if we want to go a step further, if we want to talk about dream matches, Tank versus Inoue at 130. Or Tank versus Terrence Crawford. Genuinely, at this point, we only got 3 fights left. Let's see what the world's going to happen with it. We might as well just throw in all of the best Tank fights as possible. Those would be the only fights that would be on the same scale as this one. Well, I completely understand the excitement. Absolutely. Absolutely. Crawford is three-weight classes difference. And that is huge. Not to one, excuse me. Oh, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Let me start that over. That's a mulligan for me. My gosh. Let me try that again. Let me try that again. Crawford is 3-weight classes difference. That is huge difference. Not to want to see it. And y'all say Charlo messed up that chance to want to see it. So I get what you're saying, J. Riggs. When it comes to Crawford and Canelo versus Charlo and Canelo, the weight difference is the same. Absolutely. The difference, there's 2 differences that separate this. It is talent and mentality. That's what that's what separates this fight from the Charlo fight. We understand that Charlo fought like an absolute bum. I've been waiting to say that this whole show. Charlo fought like a bum. Charlo fought like a scrub. Charlo fought like an absolutely terrible, despicable, horrible fighter. Somebody that literally laid down and died in front of Canelo to get a bag and move on. Talked about being a lion. Talked about being a dog. Talked about all these other things that him and his brother was, that he represents, that he's going to take the heart, all this other stuff, and you put on that level of performance. It's not that you got beat. It's the fact that you let yourself get beat. You let yourself lose. You willingly sat down and did nothing because you just wanted the money. You didn't try to chase greatness. You said, I've reached the threshold of greatness, and now I can sit easy. The brother ain't fighting now because he's sitting easy. Again, speculatively, allegedly, sitting easy. Dare I get into the mentality of a fighter? No. I would never disrespect that. But what I will critique, which I am in my full right to do as well as you, is what you produce inside the ring. And if it matches up with what you say outside the ring. And when those two don't match up, we can only come to one conclusion, and that is hypocrisy. Outright hypocrisy. Utter hypocrisy. That's the only thing we can say. With all due respect. That's the only thing we can say. Hypocrisy at its finest. So now that we understand that, the difference is skill and mentality. The mentality of Canelo will not let him fight the same way as Charlo. Even, let's say, again, hypothetically, let's say that Canelo did dominate Terrence Crawford. If they fought, he dominated like many people assume that will happen because of the weight difference. Everything about the size, the power, all this stuff, all of that bodes true hypothetically, and we see Canelo go and beat Terrence Crawford. It would not be bad if he beat him, because even in a loss, it would be that he showed everything that he could, and he didn't let himself lose. He got beat. There is a difference If you let yourself lose, you willingly open the door and say, you know what? I'm going to phone it in. I'm accepting this. And that's it. I'm not going to try to push to go and chase the win. Instead, if I lose, then I'm just done. It's whatever. That was Charlo. Crawford, if I lose, you got to beat me. If I lose, you got to knock me out. If I lose, you got to outbox me. You got to outwork me. You got to outdog me. You got to outmuscle me. You got to beat me to beat me. I don't got to beat myself for you to beat me. You got to beat me to beat me, because I'm not going to compromise what I do. There is a difference. There is a significant difference in letting yourself lose and getting beat. Charlo let himself lose. Crawford, you're going to have to beat him to get a win. That's the difference in these two. That's why this fight is exciting. That's why this fight is so intriguing. Not just because of the seemingly impossible nature that the fight presents in terms of the weight difference, the power, the durability, all the physical traits that we've seen Canelo have, that Crawford, while he does have, to that degree, we don't know. Since that's the case, it's improbable that we see Crawford win. Not improbable in terms of, it's never going to happen. The odds are, most people are saying, Canelo's too big and too strong. If we see him overcome those odds, incredible. Issue is, even if he doesn't overcome them, it won't be because he let himself lose. Won't be because he just threw in the towel. Won't be because he just let himself lay down and die. He will have gotten beat because he used everything he could and just got beat by the bigger man. Bigger/better man. Potentially, hypothetically. I'm not saying that's going to be the result. I'm saying that's the difference. That is the difference. We could look at Terrence Crawford and tell him, hold your head up high. If he lost against Canelo, we can't do that with Charlo because of what he showed and willingly showed in that fight. There's a completely different standard. Not even a standard. There's a completely different context behind why this is a different fight entirely. Charlo has shown nothing to say that he can even step up to that level of even 160, where his brother's at, let alone 168 against the best 168 pounder in the world. No, he showed nothing then, and he showed nothing now. Crawford, he has, against better competition, in a more dominating fashion, with better IQ, better skill sets, a sixth gear, and everything we want that can show us if somebody's gonna be Canelo, they need to have all of this stuff. They need to have X, Y, Z, A, B, C. If you ain't got that, you ain't got a chance at beating Canelo. Crawford, when we watch him and look at his track record and what he showed in his fights, in the past, he showed that he's got those things that can beat Canelo. That's the truth. Charlo never showed anything. So the weight wasn't even the big concern. It was the fact that, brother, you, based on your own skill and accomplishments, you don't have the guts, let alone the willingness to go and take on this fight. Not the guts, because he took on the fight. You don't have the skills, the talent to take on this fight. If you were the same weight as Canelo, it would be the same conversation. Brother, you don't belong in the ring. But with Crawford, we can have that conversation. Because he does belong in the ring. If anybody was going to do insurmountable odds and achieve what seems to be the impossible, Crawford showed he's got the chops to do it, or at least take the chance and go down swinging, trying. If he goes down. That's why this fight is completely different, at least for me. At least for me. Okay, you said Canelo was not impressed on last fights, but but keep same energy with Crawford's last fights was garbage. Shoot. Now, understand. Context, a little bit different. David Avanesian, respectable fighter, didn't agree that that should have been the fight that he did. Understand? Knocked him out. After that, he beat Errol Spence Jr. Now, if you're going to call that fight not impressive, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. That was arguably the most dominant, undisputed fight I have ever seen in boxing history. Arguably, at least of the modern era. The most dominant, undisputed fight I've seen in boxing history in the modern era. And utterly ridiculous what he did. Yes, that was impressive. The next fight after that, he moves up. The belt gets stripped. He moves up, relinquishes the belt, and then goes and fights Madrimov, who at that point in time was one of the best in the world. Not at that point in time, excuse me. Still is, at this point in time, one of the best in the world. Incredible amateur background. Became a champion in 10 fights. Is still one of the toughest fighters at 154. With him and Bakram, as well as Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu got KO'd by Bakram. Now looking to see Bakram versus let's see Bakram versus Madrimov. Let's see Bakram versus what's his name? No, not. I'm thinking of shoot. Who am I thinking? I'm thinking of Virgil Ortiz. My bad. I'm thinking of Virgil Ortiz and Bojack. My apologies. I'm getting my weight classes confused. But there is a hierarchy, indeed. Excuse me. No. I'm sorry. They are in the same weight class. My bad. Excuse me. They are in the same weight class. Bojack, Virgil Ortiz, and Tim Tszyu, Bakram, Jermell Charlo, 154. Canelo goes and fights Madrimov, who at that point in time was arguably the second best at 154. Arguably. Before that, again, Tim Tszyu was seen as the face and potentially the best. He got beat. Boom. Done away with. We know what that is. Bakram now is claiming the spot as, that's a dog that everybody is afraid of. Jermell Charlo, we don't know when that brother's going to fight ever again. Did he get stripped already of his title? Even though he got to hold on to it for over 3 years without defending it? Something's wrong with that. But regardless of which, he fought the best of, or at least at the tops of 154. So, it's been, his last 3 fights have been David Avanesian, Errol Spence Jr., and Madrimov. And Madrimov was getting ready to fight Bojack on the undercard of Fury versus Usyk, and then was getting ready to turn around and fight doggone Virgil Ortiz. The next, like in February. Are you kidding me? So now, I would say, with respect, I disagree. Both of his last couple fights have been impressive. And they have been quality. They have. His last 3 fights, 2 of them have been against the best in the division, respectfully. Spence at 154, Madrimov at 168. So we're going off a recent history. Shoot. My gosh. I would have to say that, he deserves all the praise that he's getting. On top of before that, we can go look at the track record of what he did before that. Before David Avanesian, who was it? Sean Porter. Before Sean Porter, who was it? Kell Brook. So, he's been working through. And it's been high level or the best option available nearly every single time, if not chasing greatness outright. So, I would say, I think he deserves the praise. Ain't no garbage about it. Canelo's garbage is garbage because it is garbage. We didn't talk about Crawford because Crawford's last couple fights had been indeed quality. They were quality. We broke down the fights beforehand. We talked about the fights during them, and then we talked about it afterwards. They've been quality. That's the truth of the matter. So I can't agree that we have to call Crawford's fights garbage. If they were garbage, on this show, we try to keep it as unbiased as possible. We try to keep it as even keel as possible. If they were bad, I would have said they were bad. They're not bad. They're not bad. In my humble opinion, they're not bad at all. Not bad at all. Reason why he's asking for $100 million. Canelo's going to get a beat. Yep, we covered that already. I agree with you that Canelo is pricing himself out on the fight, but that was for the Mexican monster fight. He didn't say that for Crawford. No, he didn't say that. But at the same time, when it comes to working with Turkey Al Sheikh, and as recently as I think again, look up for yourself. Look up for yourself. But I think also recently as a couple weeks ago, he also said when he questioned about the Crawford fight, or whenever he's questioned about the Crawford fight, the same thing is, if the money's right, I'll go and fight him. That has been the same similar track of what he's been saying throughout the time. So that's why I got to say, yeah, I think it comes down to he may price himself out for whatever reason. He may price himself out potentially. And so, see, I talk about the other fights. I'd watch that too. There's only 2 fights that can get Canelo 150 million. That's Bud or Benavidez. Absolutely, yep. You're absolutely right. Those are the 2 biggest fights. Unless he goes and tries to fight, unless he goes and tries to fight, Beterbiev, which that ain't never gonna happen. Most likely that'll never happen. He ain't get in the ring with that brother. He would never get in the ring with that brother. That's the only other brother I can see that he'll get that much money. Because he'll be, can you withstand that level of power? If you wanted to crack at the bet, potentially. But now, that's about it. Charles' game plan went out the window after finding that power. Absolutely, yes it did. Yes it did. Charlo's whole game plan was to survive. Absolutely. See, y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all watch the same thing. This is the problem with Charlo. Wasn't Canelo coming off of a long break? Wasn't Charlo coming off of a long break when he fought Canelo? Yes, he was. But the problem was he had been taking these long breaks for a long time. So you take these long breaks. Potentially, you should be training. You should be, while in recovery, still refining your skills. If you were going to take that big of a fight, why would you not take at least one tune-up before going into it, before not fighting in the ring for upwards of 2+ years at that point in time? You didn't prepare as well as in the middle of the ring. You didn't try. And you hadn't been doing what you needed to do inside or outside the ring for the past couple years. So I can't hold that as an excuse that is valid for why Charlo didn't produce. Because if you look at the track record of Charlo, wasn't injury, to a degree, they've had personal issues and mental health problems. I completely understand that. And we never downplay that. Never on this show. Never. You take care of what you take care of. But then when it comes down to taking care of business in the ring, there is still a responsibility that needs to be held. And with Charlo, everything that he said he did, he showed he in fact did not do. He showed nothing of his skill sets, none of his angles, none of his jab, none of his even attempting to counter, not using his feet, walking the ropes all night long instead of at least trying to box and legitimately box and move. There was a separation. Undoubtedly, there was a separation from the Charlo that we had seen all throughout his tenure versus the Charlo that we had seen that night. That wasn't just because of being out the ring. That wasn't because of just ring rust. That was a problem. That was an outright problem that he willingly laid down. Let's go. I would love to see Crawford versus Canelo if he moved up to 168 and fought Triple G, Plant, Ryder, Berlanga, Munguia. Just pick one to see where he's at, and then if he wins, let's go. Canelo. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute now. So you would want him to go through? Shoot. Okay. So my bad. So you would want him to take a fight at 168 before fighting Canelo, based on how he fares. Absolutely. That's the smart way of doing it. No question. No doubt in my mind. Work your way into a division before you go and fight in a division. And actually, let me go through the rest of the comments real quick. I'll touch on this comment right here. I will come back to this, J Riggs. And if I don't, remind me. I'm coming back to this because there's something I need to say about this. Genuinely, something I need to say about this. But let me go through the other comments real quick so that I can make sure I catch everybody. Yo, Ryan Frazier. What's going on, brother? What's up with that? How you doing? Glad that you tuned in to the hottest show in all the globe right here on YouTube and every podcasting platform imaginable. The Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. If you're new here, please leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts and opinions right here in the chat. And please subscribe and share with everybody that you know. And join the empire that we got going on. It's the best empire in the world. It is a growing, it's a developing, it's a phenomenal, absolutely incredible kingdom. Oh, no, we're building up. Absolutely with you as our warriors, the soldiers, all of us working for the same goal, making this channel the best that it can be. And everybody's welcome here. And don't act out of line there. We'll kick your butt out. But outside of that, hey, everybody's welcome to join in to see what we got to say. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Absolutely. But please, like the stream if you would. I'm working really hard. I'm sweating up a storm, trying to do all this stuff that we did humbly ask if you support the channel by helping it get to the algorithm so everybody can see what we got going on, because we want to make this the best show in the world that we can make it up. So but appreciate you coming in. Ryan, what's going on with you? Charlo walks around at 185. He was huge against Canelo. Matter of fact, yes, he was huge against Canelo, and Canelo was a smaller fighter. Further proves my point that preparation, if you had all the physical capabilities in the fight, even post-fight, knowing what you walk around in, should have been that the technique that you had in the ring and the uses of what you do in the ring should have been at least somewhat symbolic of what we known you as. But there was nothing similar to this. And if you looked at his face, every round, every punch, every time you would get cornered, it was simply survival. There wasn't a look to make something out of nothing. There wasn't a drive to change the perspective of the fight, to take momentum and put it in your favor. Didn't even throw out his jab as much as he could. We talk about Charlo having a good jab. Both of them having a good jab. Didn't even try to use counterpunching when Canelo would get on the inside. Didn't try to time him. None of that. Showed up. That's it. That's a problem. That's a problem. You can avoid power and still attempt to do work. We even saw Caleb Plant do that. And Caleb Plant was a brother that got knocked out. And that brother did more work. And we never disrespect Caleb Plant for that performance. Never. You got beat. You got knocked out by the better man. But doggone it, you fought your harder. You did. You did everything you could up until you got broken down. And you couldn't physically do what you wanted to do anymore. That's different than what we see from Charlo. For me. And this isn't me trying to hate on Charlo. This is the fact of the matter. It's not me trying to go and put Charlo under a bus. It's just a fact of the matter of what it is. We got to tell history the proper way. Feelings or not. And I want to see him succeed. I want to see Charlo be successful. I want to see Charlo be something great. But when we go back at what you did on that night, we can't mince words about it. That's a problem. It was a problem. It was an outright problem. It hurt to see Spence get washed like that by Bud. I won't lie. I completely understand. I had a bunch of people that were really broken up about it. Twitter was essentially a tale of two cities. The duality of man. Unabated joy and outright heartfelt shock and disdain. It was horrible. Bud gained a lot of respect from me with that Spence fight, and he gained a lot of respect from a lot of people. There were a lot of people that put him down, and he showed exactly what he is. And this is not disrespect to Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. went out the best he could. That buddy did everything that he could. He just got beat by the better man. And that he is still a dog. He is still a big fish. He's still the big fish. He's still dominant. I want to see him face off against Fundora. And I want to see him get back on the saddle, do what we know Spence can do, and show how great he really is. As we already know that he is. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see that fight with Fundora once it officially gets announced. But yeah, Matron got the same style as Usyk and Bivol. See, exactly. See, that bouncing, herky-jerky, awkward style that makes it hard to move, hard to actually get on him. To get his timing and his rhythm now, it's difficult. He's a hard fight, and he's got power. But he had 10 fights, had 9 KOs. Great amateur background with knockouts laden there too. So within 10 fights, the brother came in, knocked out nearly everybody he faced off against, and then boom, became a champion. Immediately, yeah, he's a dog. That brother is a dog. Mainly when mainly when it comes to footwork. Absolutely. Tim Tszyu didn't get beat. It was a cut that got him that loss. Yes, it did. I'm not talking about the loss to Fundora. I'm talking about the one he lost to Bakram. Bakram, that was different. The loss to Fundora, if he didn't get that cut, he beats Fundora most likely. Absolutely. If he didn't get cut on top of the head and he couldn't see and was actually able to do what he was doing in the first couple rounds, landing that lead. See, he ain't a southpaw, is he? If he's a southpaw, that power left. If he's an orthodox, that straight right hand. Landing that all night long, he was getting ready to put him out. He was knocking his head back, hurting him. Absolutely. Couldn't see. Hence, the jabs of Fundora and the volume were working against him. Against, was it Matrimony? Yeah. No, what's it Matrimony? Shoot, I just said his name. Against, in fact, let me look it up. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I don't know why I'm blanking. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I pronounce his name right. My bad. Not Matrimony. Against Bakram. Tim Tszyu against Bakram. That was a different fight. Tim Tszyu against Bakram, that fight he got destroyed in. There was a clear discrepancy in power. Clear discrepancy in skill. Clear that somebody is outright a beast. And that was Bakram. Bakram destroyed Tim Tszyu. That fight is the fight I'm talking about. That solidified him as Bakram. Hey, he's up here with Virgil Ortiz, with Boacha, with Madrimal. He belongs in that tier. Because of what he just did to Tim Tszyu. And Bakram was a relatively unknown, scary fighter. Most people didn't know about him. They know about him now. Bakram's a menace. Menace. That's what I mean when I say with Tim Tszyu, that is the fight that pushed Tim Tszyu down and put the true hierarchy right now of where 154 is fully in light for people to see. Yep. And the way Bud put it on Spence, no one has ever done. Well, I can't say that. There's been some dominant performances. Michael Spence against Mike Tyson. Larry Holmes versus Mike Tyson. Berbick versus Tyson. Frank Bruno. Essentially, most of Tyson's prime was against people that they were of the ilk, and then these got destroyed. My gosh. There was another. Oh, Joe Frazier versus George Foreman. Who am I thinking? Who am I kidding? Joe Frazier versus George Foreman. That was as much of a one-sided of all time. That's as much of a one-sided beatdown as I've ever seen in boxing history. In all time, that's an all-time demolition job. That's an all-time one-sided affair. That's one of the greatest one-sided fights we've seen in boxing history. In fact, we had a brother coming in earlier that was, or a couple shows ago, that lived to see that fight live. 64 years old. My goodness. That is the fight that put George Foreman on the mat. And Foreman was an Olympian before that time. Undefeated. That was the fight that made everybody say, oh my gosh, what is this man that just took out one of the most dominant and one of the most, at that point in time, feared champions in Joe Frazier. Nobody wanted anything to do with Joe Frazier from a getting in the ring perspective. He would break you down, get better as time went on, and then inevitably would outwork you, outmuscle you, love to get hit, though he had incredible head movement to be able to avoid getting hit. And then had one of the best knockout artists that we've seen in heavyweight history. His prime was incredible. And in the best of his prime, got knocked out by George Foreman. That was stupid, ridiculous, preposterous. My gosh, insane. But we've seen some, in all time, we've seen some. But in the modern day, it's probably Spence. It's probably Spence. And you could argue Daniel Dubois versus AJ. Not nearly on the same vein, but in terms of domination. One of the more surprising dominating affairs that we saw from a fighter, especially in an upset. And many people said he was going to lose it. But either way, Bud fought Spence after the wreck. Now, this is where I have a problem. Real quick. He did fight him after the wreck. But we saw him fight against Danny Garcia, prime Danny Garcia, post-wreck. and he looked perfectly fine. We saw him fight against Ugas post-wreck, and he looked fine. We had that whole speculation when the mouthpiece came out when Ugas caught him. My gosh, oh shoot, what's going on with him? Then what do you know? He breaks him down and knocks him out, looking like the Spencer Bolt. So I can't say that the wreck ruined him. I can't. Because up until that point, he was continuing to prove that he was the best at, or at that point in time, was at the tops of 147, dominant welterweight, deserved to be champion, and everybody was picking him against Crawford because of what they had just witnessed against Danny Jacobs and Ugas, post-wreck. So, because of all that, he was okay. He may have been made to look horrible by an all-time great in Terrence Crawford. That doesn't change the fact that Bud, up until that fight, had been looking like the Bud that we all remember. Even with the cornea, even with the wreck, the damage, all that stuff that thankfully he recovered from. He came back. First fight was against Danny Garcia. At that point in time, heavy hitter, heavy counterpuncher, powerful counterpuncher. If you get caught, you can get put down and put to sleep. One of the best left hooks in the division. Outright. Former champion. Absolutely. Did away with him. Ugas had come up into his own as a legitimate threat. Was incredible. Still is incredible. Well, I think he's retired. Well, not retired. I think he's taking a break as of right now. But at that point in time, was one of the tops in the division. And he looked like he was taking Spence to the brink. And then what happened? Spence turned it up and Spence took him out. Literally broke his face. Like he's done against so many other opponents. So I can't say that the wreck is a valid reason for why he got beat. Because everything before that, it was indeed, this is a Spencer Bolt. I said it in the breakdown. I said it in the multiple breakdowns I did of this fight between Spence and Crawford. Talking about who's going to win. Talking about the ramifications of the wreck and all that stuff. You can go look at it right now if you want to. In fact, after this stream, go look at it. Go watch Spence versus Crawford breakdown that I do. Because I went through the whole thing. And I'm telling you, I said it then and I said it now. The wreck was not a factor. Because what we witnessed in the build-up to this fight, the two fights before Crawford were indeed quality. And they were indeed against top competition at that point in time. And he did indeed beat him and knock him out. At least unanimously beat, I believe, Danny Garcia. And then knocked out or stopped Ugas. So yeah. I would say that I can't use that as a reason because of what I saw in those other two fights when he looked completely okay. Looked completely fine. Looked as good as he was before the wreck. He just got beat by the better man on that night, in my opinion. But yeah, it wasn't Spence's first fight after the wreck. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't. See, I just explained it. It wasn't. That was his third fight. After the wreck, that was his third fight, I believe. Danny Garcia, Ugas, and then Crawford. And the tune-up fight was a big threat. We didn't want him to take Danny Garcia. We didn't want him to fight Danny Garcia. I'm being completely honest. I didn't want him to fight Danny Garcia. Because Danny Garcia at that point in time was a counter-punching knockout assailant. We were like, you sure you want to take this on as your first test? But it did it. And we saw what happened. So yeah, absolutely. But hey, Justin, what's going on? I'm so sorry. People have been chatting all day. I'm not going to miss you though. Glad that you're here. Glad you're tuning in. Glad that you are here on the Watch Report with me, Jean, which I appreciate you making out time. I'm so sorry for getting your comment late. Everybody was commenting all these other stuff, trying to go through and make this show the best it can be by giving everybody their just due. But again, doesn't excuse me. I value every one of you that choose to tune in on here. I fully appreciate it. I don't take any of you all for granted for taking time out to join in on the show. Because again, you had other options, absolutely. But the fact that you opted to choose me as your means of legitimate entertainment, hey, what can I say for except for I am grateful. I am indeed grateful for all of the support that you all are bringing to me. Again, I'm not stalling. I'm trying to there we go. I'm trying to make sure that I'm trying to make sure that the chat is working like it's supposed to. There we go. Okay. Okay, we're good. We back. We back. Something went awry for a hot second. A quick minute. A vestige in time. But we good now. So let's get back to what you all have to say. How's the boxing world? Well, the boxing world's been wrapping up. We've been having fight talk all night long, right? All day long. Excuse me, coming up on 3 o'clock. Absolutely. But hey, join in on the fun. Whatever questions you got, we've been talking. We've been talking about Terrence Crawford versus Canelo. Will it happen? Who would win if it did happen? The amount of historical intrigue it would have if the upset did occur, as well as other stuff in 154 and 147 throughout the division. The same with Bud, the same Spence Bud fought, same one that Porter and Danny fought. Yeah, absolutely. Ugas fought Spence and won all those. Yeah, exactly. So I think he deserved, all those wins were valid. And when he got beat, he just got beat. Plain and simple, at least in my estimation. Bud has a better resume then we're gonna hold this. We're gonna hold this. We're gonna hold this comment. We're gonna bring this up. I'm gonna save this question for the championship round. We're gonna highlight this one. My gosh, we're gonna come back to this one. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on this question because that's a good question. That's a really good question. I want to hear the chat on after championship rounds, which is getting ready to come up. After this, we're going to touch back on this. Absolutely. Charlo looked easy. Charlo looked really bad versus Canelo. So I thought I brought up the long break. Yeah, absolutely. I see. Yeah. So, no, again, the opinion I completely get. I completely get it. It is not bad that you bring up that the layoff, because layoffs do take effect on people. Absolutely. The only problem is the context behind the layoff. That's where the issues lie. Already there have been issues of him not fighting consistently. Now holding the title, not fighting for 2+ years, and now you get into this big of a stage with Canelo of all people. This is where, if you understood the ramifications of this and the track record of your reputation was that you were a lion. If you go and compromise and become a hypocrite to your own ideals, there is nothing that we can say that can give that any form of leeway for valid reasons as to why you lost, except for you robbed yourself of victory. You can get beat, but you robbing yourself. There is no respect to be given to that. We respect you stepping in the ring, but that respect almost gets counteracted by the fact that you stepped in the ring, but you didn't even try. If you had tried and lost, you attempted greatness, you failed, it's all good. Want to see what you do down at 154 where you're at your best. No problem. Or even if you stay at 150, if you stay at 168 or want to move up, you're like, oh, I felt better here, but this challenge was just too much. We're down to 160. Boom. Whole lot better. But all this, what you did on that night is inexcusable from my vantage point, with all the respect in the world. So yeah, but yeah, I don't feel Spence had any excuse losing against Crawford, especially after winning against the previous rounds. Absolutely. Craig, what's good with you? What's going on? How you doing? Glad you're here. Glad that you are joining in on the Welch Report with me. What you got to say on the show? Sorry I hopped on. Not sure if you talked about it yet, but who do you think wins? So real quick, I think, actually, that's a good question. I didn't even say it. I didn't even say who I think wins that fight. If I could shoot. I'm going to do it once that fight does get officially announced. I'm going to give a more concise answer. But as of right now, I would pick Canelo. It's not because of disrespect towards Crawford. Again, I can do a more detailed breakdown once the fight actually gets announced. But to give it a paraphrase, the skill and IQ, they are both of an elite tier. The talent and resumes are both of an elite tier. Both of them have seen everything and adapted to everything, nearly everything, just about on the side of Canelo. Yes, he has some losses, but regardless to which, Both of them have evolved into the best versions of themselves at this point in time. Seen every single style. Understand all the tricks of the trade. So you can argue who's smarter. Absolutely. What you can't argue is at that point in time, who has the leeway to make the mistake. That's the issue. For me. Again, I can break it down more. But who's got the leeway to make a mistake and still stand? And if that's what I'm going off of, I would have to go with Canelo. Because Canelo can make more mistakes than Crawford. Even if Crawford forces Canelo to make more mistakes, he can be okay. And as long as Canelo, again, does what Canelo does, it's going to be a situation where if Crawford isn't perfect, he might not, I don't know if he can beat him. He can. But that's the issue. And the biggest issue is when essentially it's a battle of the gears. It's a battle of the gears, if I'm being completely honest. And again, I'm gonna get to all your comments, absolutely. But real quick, last thing. It's a battle of the gears. Both of these fighters have a sixth gear that they can activate to. This isn't like Fury and Usyk, where Fury's got a high fifth gear that can beat about everybody. But Usyk's got a sixth gear that Fury can't reach. It's not like that. Canelo's got a sixth gear. Crawford's got a sixth gear. Both of them have shown that they're some of the best and smartest in the world. Truly. Canelo's power, we know what it can do. Crawford's power, we know what it can do at 147. Carrying that power up to 168, that's a different animal. It is something to question because we haven't seen it yet. Even at the slight wobbling of Madrimov in his fight at 154, we have to capitulate. That's not 168. I'm not saying it can't carry, but if it doesn't, if the biggest thing that made Spence able to beat Crawford wasn't just that made Crawford be able to beat Spence wasn't just because of timing, which although it was one of the biggest things that I talked about, it was timing, and Spence got to respect you because when you hurt Spence, now you've won half the battle. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm saying that genuinely. Most fighters, if you hurt them, you've won half the battle of making them respect what you got going on. It's one of the biggest things to get over in a fight, making an opponent respect you. If Crawford can't make Canelo respect him, like he made Spence be forced to respect him with power as well as countering, because the countering ability we know is there. We know it's there. One of the best counterpunchers in the business is Terrence Crawford. He's one of the best well-rounded fighters as a whole. But switch hitting and specifically timing his opponents, incredible. Pinpoint accuracy, incredible. But if his power can't make Canelo back off, and or like with Bivol, the volume is something that isn't as voluminous as with Bivol. The mistakes that can be made are more dangerous on the side of Crawford than is on Canelo. Not saying that both of them aren't elite and both of them don't make a bunch of mistakes, but because of that, again, it's a tight thing. But the physicals coupled with that margin of error, that's what I was looking for. The margin of error. Because of that margin of error that is so tight, I don't know if I can pick Crawford confidently. Because with as great as he is, I've seen that brother get caught. I've seen him get tagged, even when he's doing everything right. I've seen him get caught clean, even when he's fighting as perfect of a fight as he can. That power going up against Canelo, understanding that, yeah, he'll go to war with Canelo. He'll meet him in Canelo's backyard, both literally and figuratively, or both literally in terms of geography and also in the literal sense in terms of the actual fight itself. He'll meet him head on if it needs to get there. Question is, once it does get there, that margin of error who is more likely to make the fatal mistake? And at this stage, I would have to say Canelo would win. Because while Crawford will be able to make Canelo make more mistakes, the mistakes that Canelo will catch Crawford on are so much more dangerous. It's tough for me to say that I can't pick that. Because perfection, if you need perfection to win, and one only needs near perfection to win, it's hard. It's hard not to beat him. It's hard not to choose him, excuse me. And yes, Wilder, you only needed 6 seconds. You only needed 3 seconds to find the pinpoint shot. Absolutely. But the issue is when it comes to Canelo and Crawford, it's not just one shot. It's all technique. Technique on both ends. Who makes the fatal mistake when with both refined techniques at hand? That is what potentially will end the night. Can Crawford make Canelo make enough mistakes where he hurts him, catches him, damages him, and now we can go full force like we normally see him do when he goes to close the show? Or will it be that Canelo makes those mistakes? Absolutely. Gets caught, but then still is able to be just as right as right because of his chin and his durability and break down Crawford. And now when Crawford makes the mistake later in the fight and he gets caught and tagged, maybe the only mistake that needed to be made, even though Crawford did everything right, one slip up versus 10 that one can afford to make on the side of Canelo. Hypothetically, thinking as to what the makeup of the fight is. Weight difference, power difference, all that stuff, the physicals. They do take effect. They're not everything. No, they're not. But they do take effect. But at this high of a rate, it can be something as intricate as that, as the biggest thing that makes the difference. Because the level of the fighter individually, they're so close. Potentially. But I would have to pick Canelo. Again, that's just a preview. When it actually gets announced, if it gets announced, we'll talk about it more. Absolutely. But as of right now, I would have to pick Canelo at this point in time. Could it change? Absolutely. No question in my mind. If Tim Tszyu would have stopped fight after the cut, he would have won on cards. Yep. He would have. But he's a warrior. He wanted to keep on going. Wanted to keep on fighting. That's why we love him. That's why we want to see him fight more and more because he's got that dog mentality. He's willing to get in the fire with people. Absolutely. That's what he wants to do. That's what he desires to do. And we love him for it. No question. No, I'm talking about the fact that no one fought, I'm talking about the fact that no one that fought Spence has done him like, okay, I see what you're saying, my bad. I know which comment you're referring to. My bad for misinterpreting what you said. My apologies. I picked Spence over Crawford. That wreck was bad, but showed me enough that he was still a monster. Yep, absolutely. Tim Tszyu lost that fight. If you noticed, as soon as he got hit, rubbed his head, yep, with his glove, yep, And so the PTSD, that's true. The PTSD of Tim Tszyu from that cut made him think he got hurt again. Absolutely. I noticed that. No question. Absolutely that did happen. Oh, absolutely that did happen. That was, oh boy. Oh my gosh. Yes. I saw that plain as day. Now he's got to work mentally to get through that. Now he's at another crossroads. Tim Tszyu is at another fight. The fight of the mind. The mindscape. He's got to now work through that himself to get back to the Tszyu that we know he can be, as well as work on his defense. Outright. Work on that defense, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a problem. Canelo stops Crawford within 6. I don't know about that. I don't know. Well, actually, within 6, again, that's another conversation. We're going to bring it up later on in the show. If Crawford can avoid getting tagged, then he's going to get the bag. That potentially what could happen. But if it turns into a dogfight, Canelo's going to take it for sure. See, that's the thing. And the thing about Crawford, the brother's got a mean streak in him. He'll go where you want to go. He'll go, meet me outside. He'll get street. He'll get thuggish. The brother will get outright disrespectful. The man loves to go to war. He loves it. He wants to feel the power and pressure. He wants to feel the energy of the fight. He feeds off of that. So because of that, Oh, if it's offered, he'll oblige. If he's forced to do it, he'll pull up his pants, shake out his arms, and he'll say, "All right, let's get ready to rumble. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this." Absolutely. Because I think Bud is too smart to make it a dog fight. I feel he's gonna outbox Canelo and win. And that's the thing. He is smart, absolutely, and he won't let it happen. He'll win on points. Understandable, completely understand. The issue is, it's not just what he can do, but what's in him. What's in him is insanity. I'll go where I'm not supposed to go because I'm like that. That's how Canelo views. That's how Crawford views himself. Canelo as well, but that's how Crawford views himself. I'll go where I'm not supposed to go because I'm like that. You hurt me, all right, fine. I'm getting my get back. I don't care how big you think you are. You ain't taking me out. I will outdog you at the most basic level. Forget boxing. We fighting now. That's what he'll do because it's in him. It's in him. He's smart enough not to do it, but he's willing enough to do it anyway. That's one of the reasons why we love Crawford. Let's see. Champion, what you got to say? Can I also, champion, if I didn't greet you, thank you for tuning into the show. I'm so sorry. If you would, kindly leave a like on the stream. But if I didn't greet you before, thank you for tuning into the show. Glad you're joining in on the Watch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Absolutely. But let's see what you got to say. Canelo is better, more skilled fighter, and just better overall fighter than no matter the weight class. Okay, I completely get it. I understand. But again, we're gonna have that conversation a little bit later. We're getting ready to get to the championship rounds. Mark my words. We're gonna talk about all of this. We're gonna let y'all hash it out. Why you think one will beat the other? No question in my mind. But let's see. Real quick. Dang it! Come on, chat. Don't do this to me now. We're on a roll. Don't do this to me. Don't do. Not now. No. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh boy. Almost petrified that we lost everything that we were getting ready to have. Let's see. Okay, boom. Skills pay the bills, but Crawford's got him. No question, absolutely. I will admit though, Canelo has a better chin. That's the thing. Canelo's chin is legendary. Canelo's chin was able to withstand Triple G in his prime twice. I think we overlooked that. Don't let the third fight fool you of how Gennady Golovkin was out and is officially retired now. He went against Gennady Golovkin, who was avoided. He went against him and fought him twice. And officially one draw, one win. Some people say he lost 1-1. Some people say he lost both. Whatever the case you feel, both of them were hotly contested. He never went down against Gennady Golovkin. That is stupid. That's stupid. In 3 fights, he never went down against Gennady Golovkin. One of the greatest middleweights we've seen in boxing history. One of the strongest middleweights we've seen in boxing history. Ridiculous. I think some people overlooked it. Really, I think people do. And so it's both sides of the coin. Makes a phenomenal fight. But that's the one thing that worries me is if Crawford gets tagged too much, Canelo could get it early. If he gets tagged, the issue is, it's not that he can't take it. How much can he withstand? Benavidez does the same thing to opponents. It's not that you can't withstand punches. How much can you withstand before you make me get in trouble? Andre happened to him. David Lemieux happened to him. Durrell, potentially Morrell. When it comes down for that fight, how much can you take before you can't take anymore? Can you get rid of me before I get you to a point where you're at your limit? That's the issue with Canelo and Crawford. It's not just the skills. It's the fact that what we bring to the table, can you withstand it? Because something's going to land. It's not just going to be some outright, you ain't going to touch me. No. If Crawford blocks Canelo, it's going to be like with Bevo. He feels it through his block, but on a more detrimental scale. Because now it's 168 going up against 154. Completely different scale of power. You're gonna feel it regardless. It's gonna affect you regardless. Even if you defend it right. Canelo, the speed and countering ability of Crawford, he's gonna catch you. You've caught better counters before from a power perspective. What is it that you can do? Can you wear me down before I make you start feeling the effects of my power? Especially with this Canelo, that is a one shot, loading up, literal catch and shoot type puncher. Catches you on the block, counter you with a hook. He'll use head movement, yes he will. But primarily, walk you down, stalk you down. A little bit of head movement. Well, not a little bit. Good head movement. Not as much as he used to do back in the day. But then, get his guard up, block you, corner you, big hook to the body, big hook to the head, straight right to the head, or straight right to the head and then hook to the body. 1 or 2 punch combinations, all of which has all the power in the world. That affects you to some degree. What will it be that Crawford can take before potentially it comes down to, just like with everybody else, Canelo broke him down? That potentially is what can happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying that's the dichotomy of the fight. And yeah, Bud ain't scared of nobody. Absolutely not. Bud ain't scared of nobody. Bud ain't scared of a soul. Bud is never scared of a soul. He didn't go down. He didn't get against Triple G, but he did almost go. No, yep, okay. I do remember that. He didn't go down against Cotto's brother. That was early. Actually, I thought it was Cotto outright that he got rocked in. Was it Cotto's brother, or was it Miguel Cotto outright that he got rocked against? I thought it was Cotto that rocked him. I thought it was Cotto that rocked him. But I will say, I'll digress. He did go down early, but that was early in his career. That Canelo and this Canelo, they're not the same Canelo. We have to give context to that point. It did happen. It's like with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury got knocked down. Okay, so it was his brother. Okay, thank you. Okay, so it was his brother. Thank you again. Appreciate it. So it was Cotto's brother. Knocked him down. My apologies. Thank you. Appreciate you correcting me so I can make sure we got it right. So he did, but it was earlier in his career. It happened. David Benavidez got knocked down earlier in his career. It happened. Fury got knocked down early in his career, multiple times. That is not the same Tyson Fury. That's not the same David Benavidez. It's not the same Canelo that we have now, especially with him physically being fully filled out. There is a growth, again, an evolution. That's the thing. It's the evolution of the people that makes it indie great. It's the evolution that we see now that makes it so that, boom, this is what you are. If that makes sense. So it happened, and it can happen. I'm not saying that Canelo can't get knocked down. It's just that this Canelo and that Canelo, they're on two separate planes of talent, durability, power, and chin. So because of that, I can't hold that as see, happened before. It's going to happen again. You see what I'm saying? So, let's see, what else do people, I don't know I'm sorry. I don't know what is going on with this chat that continually, it messes up to where it'll like shrink and then like disappear and then come back. It's ridiculous. I'm so sorry. But it's a one-man show. Don't worry. We're still going to ride the ship. We're going to still go and do it right. No question about it. But now let's see what else do people have to say about this. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Look it up. Let's see. Hey, someone found let's see. Canelo cheated against Triple G too. Let's not forget. Did he really cheat? I'm going to look that up. I'm not going to speak on it. I'm going to look it up. I don't think everything I found, I don't think he cheated. I'm going to look it up though. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to verify. I don't believe he cheated. But I'm going to look it up. I don't believe. I'm going to look it up though. I'm going to take everything seriously. I'm not going to speak on what I can't as much remember as I want to. But I will look it up. I don't believe he cheated around the time that those fights did happen. But I'll look it up to verify. Absolutely. Someone finally agrees with me. No one ever talks about it. See, okay, so yeah, so people, so it is. So people are saying that PEDs took place. So now, see, everything I found about that fight, I don't think it was cheating. But again, as of right now, I will say, in my opinion, he didn't. I will look it up to verify. If I find something, absolutely, I'll bring it up. I'll tell her. As of right now, though, I can't say for certain that that claim is valid. I knew the claim was being swirled around. I knew the claim was indeed being seen as widely, hey, this did indeed happen. There was two sides of the coin. Went to do the research. I didn't find anything that concretely showed me, yes, this did happen. However, I'll look back. Want to tell history the right way. I'm not going to say anybody's right or wrong. I'm looking up to make sure, just to be on the safe side. Absolutely. But yeah, you ain't lying. Canelo did almost get KO'd by Cotto's broke. Yeah, that did happen. He didn't hit the canvas like Benavidez. The ropes held him up, though. It should have been a knockdown because the ropes held him up. The ropes held up Canelo when he got rocked. He did. The ropes held up Canelo when he got rocked, and it could have been a knockdown. Ref didn't step in, but it could have been deemed a knockdown, even though it didn't hit the canvas. Benavidez got caught more so off balance, but still, knockdown happened. Got caught, got hurt, enough power to put him down. It's part of the history, part of the growth of the fighter, and we all loved it. We all loved it. Yep, see people, everybody, see, everybody starting to remember now. It did indeed happen. But I had 1,000 on Triple G first fight, and I was giving money in hand, and they said, they said draw. Oh, they said draw, and I took my money back into the pocket. But my heart felt that Canelo lost to Triple G. Those two fights, the first two fights, were some of the best fights we have in the modern era. Legitimately, they were incredible. And it's still highly contested who indeed won. I think, and I'm going to rewatch them again, I think they split 1-1. I think you can argue Canelo should have lost the first fight, and I think Canelo won the second fight. But even then, even when I go back and think and watch the fight, I'm like, maybe Triple G did win both. Maybe both of them were a draw. They were so close. They were. That is true pugilistic purity, what they displayed in those first two fights. It was incredible. And regardless of who you think wins, again, I think they split. If I had my scorecard, Gennady won one, and then Canelo won one. And then Canelo won the third one, but that was well past, we understand the context of that third fight. Triple G wasn't nowhere close to Triple G. And then, even then, the old Triple G in the third fight was still in the later rounds, giving Canelo some legitimate work. So it's like, hey, with all that the respect of a great champion, he's still a great champion. I just think the first two fights, they split. Canelo won the second. Gennady won the first. But I'm going to rewatch it because it is indeed, it's incredible. That those two fights were indeed phenomenal. Absolutely. And so, that for me, that's me. Again, you can feel how you feel. Completely get it. And whatever opinions you have, all of them can be argued against because of what the fight was. It was indeed a spectacle. And I loved it. But again, we still got, real quick, we got more on this show. My gosh. My goodness. My gosh. We have 1-1. Okay, thank you for agreeing. We still got more to cover. Shoot. We didn't even get to cover the rest of this stuff. I still got comments of that we wanted to refer back to real quick. And it was, we still got more to cover on this show. My goodness. Jay Riggs, there was one question that Jay Riggs had brought about that I was supposed to go back to. Where was it at? Dang it. Where was that? It was up here. It's up here. It's up here. If I don't find it within 2 minutes, regrettably, we're going to move on and cover the rest of the stuff like with Lomachenko. Like we need to cover with Lomachenko. Like we need to cover with some NBA action. Cause we still are a well-rounded show. And I still want to give you all the best that I can. But let me real quickly gotta find the question that I was going to talk about with Jay Riggs as a legitimate good talking point. What was it about? Dang it, what was it? 5. No, it wasn't that. Timothy got beat, cut, then it wasn't that. Straight set direct, wasn't that. What's that? What's that? Spence resume. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This is the one. This was the one. Real quick. The last thing that we'll talk about for the pure Canelo Crawford-esque segment that we've been discussing. With this fight, Spence versus Bud, right with the resumes. Is this statement true? Does Spence have a better resume than Terrence Crawford? In your opinion? Because, ironically enough, we've heard some sentiment about this before. At least in the immediate aftermath, as well as time went on. People would still argue that, hey, pockets of people would argue that Spence has a better resume than Bud. Do you think that genuinely is true? Or do you feel that, no, I don't think so? Or do you think they're both on equal footing in your estimation? Because I would love to hear your thoughts. Because in my opinion, as we still have more people commenting on the show, let me see this real quick. Canelo Alvarez is going to put Crawford in a wheelchair. Oh boy. Oh, hold on. Christopher, before we get back to the question at hand, Christopher, real quick, I appreciate you joining in on the show. Thank you for coming into the hottest show in all the globe. Absolutely. And appreciate you joining in on the conversation. Crawford's going to get put in a wheelchair. Facts. And let's see. Chris B in the building. Appreciate you coming in. This is great. This is phenomenal. This is stupendous. This is shoot. For an hour 44, it feels like I've been going in for a hot minute. But this is exactly what I want to see. This is the quality show that we want to bring on for everybody to come and enjoy. Absolutely, indeed. But again, we get ready to go to championship rounds right now. And in fact, let's do it. And let's lead off with that question. With the question that Jerry put into play, we're in the championship rounds. 30 minutes, whatever you all want to discuss about what's going on. Actually, real quick, let me do what I was going to do first. Jay Riggs, the Spence Bud question, we're going to take that into championship rounds. Real quick, Lomachenko, big news. I do need to bring that up before we fully go into this. Lomachenko potentially is coming back. Yes, Lomachenko's potentially coming back. We said he was going to retire. He's not retiring. We thought he had announced his retirement. Has not announced his retirement officially now. What has been seen as right now. Got surgery on his back. Injured his back during training camp or during training. Based on the results of that surgery in the MRI, he will announce within the month whether he's back or not. If he does come back, he needs to fight against Tank Davis as the next matchup. More importantly, Tank Davis needs to make the fight with Lomachenko if he is indeed coming back to boxing. If not, it's been a phenomenal career. If he can, I need to see the fight with Tank. Because Tank, there is no excuse anymore. If you beat Lamont Roach, there's no excuse to not fight Gervonta Lomachenko. Absolutely. And I'm glad Lomachenko's coming back. I want to see him, again, test greatness against other greats. If the only question is, will the back injury at 36 years old, will he be the same fighter? Or will the matrix now potentially be solved? Because it doesn't operate like it used to. Once you get these injuries, especially in your back, slipping, moving, punching, and all the intricate footwork and angles that he could take with ease, now may not be able to do anymore because of the injury. Because of now the wear and tear starting to take effect and the injury lingers. Mike Tyson with his head movement wasn't the same, not just because of training, not just because of the lack of dedication that he gained because of the fame in the outside world of boxing affecting him, and Don King and other numerous things we talked about before with the downfall of Mike Tyson. But on top of that, as he got older, back injuries and back issues started making it so that he wasn't able to be as nimble, as loose, as reactive as he used to be. With Lomachenko, well, his legs seem to be the best that they have been. When it comes to his back, that can affect a lot of different issues. Will it be the same matrix? I do not know. We will have to wait and see. But just know, within the month, or at least by February, potentially, we could hear when Lomachenko is coming back, if he does come back at all. Because I believe he still got his title. He hasn't officially retired. So that's the news right now. Was there anything else I need to cover as the basis of the show? I think that's everything. Wait a minute. No. Yep. Well, you know what? we'll bring it into the championship rounds. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Let's do it. Let's do it. Might as well. Might as well. Let's go. Let's go. Championship rounds. We're here. Whatever you want to discuss, we can discuss. Put your comments in the chat below. Whatever topics you want to talk about, we will talk about. I will talk about other topics as you put them in the chat. Also, to give time for people to get their questions, to get their comments, to get their concerns, and just to, again, I can flow easily with anybody. Absolutely. But it's the championship rounds. Whatever you want to discuss, we can discuss right now. And we'll start again with what we initially opened up with. Is Bud's resume better than Errol Spence Jr.'s, in your opinion? Because in my opinion, absolutely it is. With the names that he faced off against, with the amount of people that he's beaten, Hall of Famers, and the legitimate competition that we've seen him face off afterwards, I think it's fair to say that Bud's resume clears, with all due respect, clears what we've seen from Errol Spence Jr. On top of him being undisputed in two-weight class, the first man to do it in history. Second person to do it since, who was it? Errol, Clarissa Shields. And so, yeah, I think absolutely he is better. Well, the resume, is better. But let's see what you all got to say. Kingdom Within, what you got to say on the championship rounds of this show. I feel that T.O. was a waste of a conversation that when it's, hold on. Wait a minute. Did I miss something? Did I miss the context of this? Was there something before this? Let's see, okay, I did. I feel that T.O. is a waste of conversation when put in the same realm as Bud, and don't feel that T.O. deserves to be. And don't feel that T.O. even deserves, nor is even as good as going up against Bud. See? And that's completely fine. When it comes to comparing their resumes, in terms of greatness, no, they're not comparable. But you also have to understand that they're in different veins, or rather different tracks, per se. Teofimo Lopez is still incredibly young. Teofimo Lopez I think he was robbed of being undisputed after he took the belts from Lomachenko because of some weird thing that they did with the belts, giving it a different name. So it's all this about that way. But the belt that Lomachenko had, which was, I believe, deemed a legacy belt, it wasn't indeed a real belt. Now, we dropped it. Legacy-wise, got beat by Kambosos after beating Lomachenko. Bad loss. Even with the got beat, absolutely. Found out air in his lungs that could have potentially killed him. Not in his lungs, but under his lung. Whatever the medical thing was. That could have potentially killed him in the ring. Incredible that he made it out the fight. Genuinely. You can look it up. But, lost. Then faced off against, what's his name? Sandor Martin. In my opinion, robbed a win from Sandor Martin and legitimately got beat by Sandor Martin, was questioning himself after the win, saying, do I still got it? Now was reinventing himself and looks like the Teofimo Lopez that we knew was actually, or could be, one of the best in the world. Beat Jack Catterall, dominated Jack Catterall when Jack Catterall was in the pound rankings, now going up and being a champion. Legitimately looks like this T.O. is built to achieve the greatness that we think he can. He's not in the same caliber as Bud Crawford. No, he's not. However, the ability to be able to get to a worthy threshold to face off against Terrence Crawford, that's another conversation. He's got the chops if he shows it at 140 and if he moves it to 147. He's got the chops to be able to say, give me a shot with Crawford. Even though Crawford's at 154. We could see Teofimo Lopez go and move up. Especially if he keeps on elevating like he's been doing in this second resurgence in his career. He could potentially get to 154. He's got the frame for it. He's got the power for it. He's got the size for it. He's got the skills for it. Don't get it twisted. He could get to 154 and potentially get a shot at Crawford. Not saying he's greater. Not saying he's better. Doesn't start to be in the same conversations of talent. But in terms of conversations of can I get to a point where I deserve to be in the ring? He can get to that point. In my estimation, I think he can earn a shot. Now, to say that he's washed, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. I have to respectfully disagree. I don't think that's right. Teofimo Lopez is not washed. Teofimo Lopez has of recently been looking like the Teofimo Lopez that we thought we would never see again. Again, after that Sandor Martin fight. The Lopez that we see now is a Lopez that can beat a lot of people. The Lopez that we see now is the Lopez that we want to see face off against Gervonta Davis. Now, whoever you think can win that fight, that's up to you. We'll break down that fight if it indeed does happen. But I'll tell you this right now. If you would mean to tell me that Teofimo Lopez can give Gervonta Davis a legitimate test and, dare I say, beat him, if we're looking at 140 and the only person that we can see viably can beat Teofimo Lopez, genuinely, excuse me, let me rephrase that. If we're looking at 140 and the only person that, if Tank moved up, can actually beat Teofimo Lopez, I'm saying it wrong. What's going on with me? My goodness. If we're looking at 140 and Tank moves up to 140 like we want him to, and the only viable option that we can see to beat Tank is Teofimo Lopez, as genuinely, yes, he's got the ability to beat Tank, that should speak to something. And it's not just because of the power. It's because of the actual skills that he has at his disposal and recently has been showing on a consistent basis from Jack Catterall and beyond. So because of that and this new, reinvigorated, focused, consistent Teo, yes, I don't think that he's washed. I think that he is the person who can be undisputed at 140, can go to 147 and at minimum unify, and potentially work his way up to 154, in my humble estimation. That's what I see from somebody like Teo at his best. And right now he is fighting at some of the best that we've seen. So I got to give the credit where credit is due. I think he deserves it. I think he deserves the praise. And I don't think that he's washed, in my humble opinion. I would like to see Lomachenko get a rematch against Teo, though. He definitely should. That I've been waiting on. I thought it was going to happen immediately. Because just like with Devin Haney and Lomachenko lost the first 6 rounds and then won the last 5. And then Teo won that 12th round to definitively put him over the top. He earned that win. Absolutely. I remember like it was yesterday. I was in college. I was sitting in the auditorium by myself. Put the video on the screen on that theater that they got. For those who went to Harvard University, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That theater in the Con building, I went there. Absolutely. Watched it by myself. Incredible. It felt like I was, premium live event. And it was during COVID too. It was nothing but punches and sounds and commentary. The purest form of boxing. The brother, he lost the first 6, won the last 5, and then Teofimo Lopez took that 12th round and fought his way to a victory. Absolutely. But I would have loved to see, if they fought against each other again, what would happen? What would happen? But if we've seen if we know that Teofimo Lopez can do that against, at that point in time, a prime Lomachenko, and now he's getting back to that semblance of Lomachenko, tough for me to say that he couldn't beat somebody like a Tank or have the ability to fight his way up to a deserving spot for a Terrence Crawford somewhere down the line, hypothetically. So if you have that capability, I can't call you washed for me. And so, but I would love to see that fight, absolutely. Sean Porter, CJ Riggs. Sean Porter has a better resume than Spence and Bud in that aspect. Now, we've talked about Sean Porter before. Sean Porter has been one of the best fighters of this era. People don't give a lot of respect to that because he lost to Errol Spence and he lost to Terrence Crawford. But understand, he gave Errol Spence one of the best fights of his career, genuinely, as well as Terrence Crawford. He was beating Terrence Crawford up until he got knocked out. Genuinely. So he's great. And here's the thing. I don't even want to call him a gatekeeper because if he was still fighting now, there's an argument he still is now with Spence gone, with Crawford gone. If he was fighting now, at 147, he's probably a champion. Most likely he's fighting against John Boots Ennis to unify the titles. Outright. Most likely, it would be seen that he may even be the best fighter at 147 right now. Arguably. Unless you just think, yeah, Boots would have taken that spot away from him, and just like now, Boots is the best. But it would be, if he was fighting right now and his dad, and he didn't opt to retire after that loss to Terrence Crawford, you could argue he would still be, it would be a champion and would be seen as the best, or at least second best in the division right now. So I couldn't call him a gatekeeper. He would still be elite. That brother was a dog. Incredible. Incredible. It was incredible. And okay, so you said it wrong. Understandable. But yeah, so we're on the same wavelength. No, he would still be elite. His resume is laden. In fact, let me pull it up so I can give you truly a quick history lesson. For those who don't know exactly how good Shawn Porter was. Because Shawn Porter genuinely has had an incredible career that is just like other fighters. If he was of a different time, he would have been the top of the top. Most likely. The man genuinely has fought top level competition once he reached the peak. And it wasn't like he had a bunch of power either. He was strong. He didn't have a bunch of power. Didn't have a bunch of weight behind his punches. He was legitimately a volume swarmer. A great inside fighter, swarmer, and great defense, great slipping, great IQ to never let his opponent be able to get away from him. Constantly being able to cut off the ring, never being able to give away distance. I mean, like genuinely, he was incredible. He knocked out Paulie Malignaggi. He beat Devin Alexander. He lost to Kell Brook. Understandable. Then came back, beat Eric Boone. Beat Andre Boner. Lost to Keith Thurman when Keith Thurman was again at the heights of the height in 2016. Then beat Berto, knocked out Berto, beat Danny Garcia, beat Ugas, and then lost to Errol Spence Jr., then lost to Terrence, and then beat. I thought he said he beat Sebastian Fundora. I was about to say, oh my gosh. I thought it said he beat Sebastian Fundora. Shoot, Sebastian Formulea. Excuse me. And then lost to Terrence Crawford. So the only losses he's had in his career have been Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, and Kell Brook. All of whom at that point in time were at the heights of their game. And if he just had power, he could have. He might have beaten Kell Brook. Genuinely, he might have beaten Kell Brook, and if he had power, he might have beaten Keith Thurman. Potentially, but the resume as a whole, he fought everybody. That's the biggest thing. Even wins or losses aside, he fought almost just about every legitimate contender in the division, without question, without fail, without any form of hiccup. Like, he went and fought everybody in the division. There was no man that he did not face that didn't show he was indeed one of the best in the world. It wasn't. It was not. And so, like, that's where the credit really is given. 31-4, but the man, 31-4, 17 KOs, but the man genuinely fought everybody in the division and consistently put in work and consistently never ducked. That's the best thing about him. That's why we love people like Shawn Porter. So we want everybody to move like Shawn Porter. We want everybody to move like Shawn Porter. Because Shawn Porter did not duck any smoke from anybody that opted to get in the ring with him. None. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Okay, since we're in the championship rounds, here's my question. Who wins Ryan Garcia versus the Tank Davis rematch? Now, is it Tank versus Ryan Garcia at 140? Now that's the question. That's the question. That is the question. Is it Tank versus Ryan Garcia at 140? If it's Tank versus Ryan Garcia at 140, we have a new conversation. Because now, definitively, with what we saw, Tank knocked out Ryan. Wait a minute. Okay, now, hold on. Wait a second.
Hey, look at this. We got some problems here.
Wait a second now. Hold on. You Tank. Wait a minute. Jaden, oh, brother. Hold on. Wait a second. Wait, I'm sorry. I got that threw me. Oh shoot. Excuse me? So you want Tank versus Ryan Garcia at 154? Oh my gosh. Right? No. This is good. This is great. Don't apologize. This is great. These are what we. These are the type of questions that we want. So for those of you just tuning in, also leave a like on the stream if you would. Comment your thoughts and opinions on whatever you want to discuss. We're in the championship rounds. But hey, I gotta go. Oh shoot, hold on. Oh we gotta leave. Okay, hold on. J Riggs, I'm gonna answer your question, Jada. J Riggs, appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you joining the show. Absolutely. And hey, I'm happy to do this for you. Again, we cover boxing and audio and boxing and the NBA on this show as well as some NFL and other stuff if we have some time. But regardless of which, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And real quick before you leave, if you got between Ryan and Tank at 154, I got Ryan Garcia. You're doggone right. Shocking, I know. And again, this is just for J Riggs before you leave. Just hold on, take it 154. He walk around at 165, so it could be done. Now, see, here's the thing. I have Ryan Garcia at 154 only because Tank walks around at 155, at 165. Sure, absolutely. But at that point, now, Ryan Garcia's walk around weight. He's been big since he's fought at 135, just like with Devin Haney. Now, with rehydration and nothing holding him back, brother, Tank walks around at 160 comfortably. Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, they walk around at around 180, comfortably. That's where the issue comes into play. Now, at that point in time, that's a 30-pound weight difference. Night of the fight, hypothetically, because of what we know Ryan Garcia walks around it. That's where the issue comes into play. And again, this is not because Ryan is a better fighter than Tank. No, Tank is a better fighter. Tank is a better fighter than Ryan Garcia. Let's not mince words about it. Tank is still a better fighter than Ryan Garcia. But now at that point in time, that is a 30-pound weight difference for somebody who already feels uncomfortable. His words, not mine. Enters Gervonta Davis fighting at even 140. That's his words, not mine. This was a brother who was already wary of the power of Ryan Garcia. Legitimately, he said it himself. This is a brother who also, in the build-up to the fight, knew that Ryan Garcia had an injury. He said that, not me. All of this is what happened per his words, per his camp. So with all that being said, all the stuff going into the fight was, with all due respect, heavily in Tank's favor. Not just from a talent perspective, which we already understood, but from the weight and physical capabilities. Tank was able to keep Ryan Garcia from getting back to the healthy weight that he normally gets up to, rehydrate like he normally rehydrates to, and with the damaged rib, there was an injury that was, hey, we target that, and we know what to do. His camp said it, not me. He said it, not me. I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm not trying to speculate. This is what Tank said, not me. So because of that, if they fought at 154 and Ryan Garcia can get up to 185 the night of, my gosh, and Tank is going to be up to 160 and Ryan Garcia full weight can be potentially even faster than he already is. And have the ability to, already, he was able to give Tank some trouble with his speed and with that straight right hand that he actually did land to back Tank up to the corner and to do some legitimate work. Yes, he got overzealous and never got countered and put down, absolutely. But now that he's learned and is better equipped with, again, we have to call it the Ryan role at this point, it looks horrible. It looks almost laughable. It looks like the worst Philly show that we've gotten that we've seen in history. But doggone it, it works. Duarte couldn't get through it. Devin Haney couldn't get through it. Now, Duarte's a bigger puncher threat than Devin Haney, but you get what I'm saying. He's learned some things. He's tried and has found some useful things and has gotten more adept with this power and legitimately fights like a big man in the division. Again, Oscar Duarte, talent wasn't the same, but he was still a threat in the division. That brother had 28 26, 28 KOs in his career, in his tenure, was one of the more dangerous fighters at 140, and we saw Ryan Garcia legitimately handle him and knock him out, and the brother hadn't been stopped before, if I remember correctly. So he's now fighting like a big man. Just like in the NBA. We want our fighters, we want centers to play like centers, like big men. Use your height, use your weight, use your power, use your length to the best of their advantage. When it comes to Ryan Garcia, he's now starting to learn that. When he fought against Devin Haney, what did he do? He didn't try to outbox Devin Haney. He tried to, he mauled Devin Haney. He didn't try to box with Devin Haney. He used what he knows he can do. And said, I'm a refine what I'm already good at. And that's the mark of a good fighter. Somebody who doesn't try to overwork what doesn't work, but make sure that you keep right and refine what does work. It doesn't mean you don't improve. It doesn't mean that you still don't try to learn new skills, but that does mean you don't stray away from what you know you are. People lose sight of that. Joe Joyce lost sight of that. Deontay Wilder lost sight of that. We've seen fighters lose sight of that. Ryan didn't. Regardless of what you want to say about all the outside pressure, Ryan genuine at this stage right now, amidst all the craziness, amidst all the other wear and tear that we've seen throughout this tumultuous last year, when it comes to him, my gosh, talk about anxiety abounded. But we're looking at a man who, regardless of what you want to say about him, the brother knows what he is and walks in the identity of what he is as a fighter, which is, I'm a big man with the fastest hands in the sport right now and got power to put you out. And I got speed to the point that cameras can't even catch some of the punches I throw. Genuine. Because of that, I'm going to walk you down and I'm going to stalk you. And I'm going to force you to feel everything I got. And with Ryan Garcia at 154 against Tank at 154, Tank coming to the fight at best at 165. And Ryan Garcia at worst coming in at 160. At best 165 for Tank. At worst for Ryan Garcia, he comes into that fight 170 with night of. At best for Ryan Garcia, he comes into that fight 185. Now, more muscle, more mass, more weight, can potentially withstand some more punishment from Tank and give out punishment that for everything that we say about Tank Davis, he still does get caught while he's making his game plan. That hasn't changed about his tenure. That hasn't changed about his style. He still does get caught while making the game plan to catch you late. Happened with Frank Martin. It happened with Ryan Garcia. It's happened with Mario Barrios. It happened every fight. That has not changed about Tank. That doesn't dissuade his greatness. But what that does do is make his greatness, there's a method. And that method for Tank sometimes, and almost every time, requires him to take at least some punishment before ultimately knowing what to do to get you out of there. That's what we see. And now at 154, Ryan would then have the power and the speed and the weight advantage to potentially, if I catch you while you're making the game plan, before you can refine it and before you can fully implement it, I may be able to take you out. I may be able to. Because here's the thing. We know he's a great fighter. But one of the reputations of Tank is that we don't know how great his chin is. Now, it's not because he hasn't faced off against heavy hitters. No. We haven't seen his chin get tested and then work and then be able to be like, okay, boom. Let's see what you do. In the slight times we have seen him get caught, he took it. But it was a clear reaction. It's not often. But when it does happen, there is a clear reaction. There is a clear need to not panic. But there's a clear need to be like, oh, shoot. And so because of that, that's why I think it would have to be, we could see at 154 Ryan Garcia potentially beat Tank simply because of that weight discrepancy. And the issue that, again, Tank already doesn't like fighting at higher divisions outside of 154. 135. Now you put him in an even more uncomfortable position with more power coming at him. All the things that he says as to why he doesn't want to fight at higher divisions, he would have to face off against at the biggest division he's ever been against. Against, physically, one of the most imposing people that he's been against. So it'll be interesting. I'll say that. It would be incredibly interesting. Sean Porter is one of my top 3 fighters. Understandable. Absolutely. Rematch with no weight drain clause. Okay, let's see. Rematch with no weight drain clause. I think Ryan Garcia. I think if Garcia fixes his chin in the air, puts that chin back, tucks it, and keeps on implementing again that Ryan roll that he does. It ain't pretty, but it's working in some capacity. It's better than what we seen him do in the past. And he somehow makes that even better. Potentially, we could see something. We could see. And also, he might have a chance. And something's going on with Tank's inner circle. I'm going to get back to this. That's another conversation. But something's going on with Tank's inner circle. Something's amiss in the realm of Gervonta Davis. Why? We'll talk about it in a little bit, because that's another thing I do want to discuss. Absolutely. Let's see what we got to say. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So Jaden, that's the same here. That would be again. It might be that he takes it. Tank walks around at 160, absolutely, and Ryan walks around about 185. Yep. See, See, this is exactly what takes place. Ryan's left hook, it's got a mind of its own. Right now, it's the best left hook in the business. Arguably, it's at minimum the fastest. No question in my mind. And so Tank's always going to be the smaller fighter if he moves up like with Canelo, but only a few can pull it off. Absolutely. The issue is, though, Tank has already said what his comfortability limit is. He can be a smaller fighter, but he doesn't want to operate at that much of a detriment. Genuinely. He has said that himself. So that is where that extra weight, it will play a factor, even on the psyche of him, coupled with this interior camp. Potentially something's going awry. It could be a problem. He gave Tank some trouble in the first round, and he fought dehydrated. So it could be, boom, fully rehydrated and smarter, knowing what not to do, not get overzealous. It could be a good fight. It could be a good fight. And you can love him or hate him. Ryan Garcia, the brother, he says some outlandish stuff. Absolutely. And it's wrong. Absolutely it's wrong. We speak out against it. No question. But in the ring, what we judge in the ring, there is no question that man is, we thought he was going to get outboxed by somebody like Devin Haney. And he walked through. We thought his biggest detriment was, you can just, if you got technical ability, you can get him out of it. But no. He's got refined technique of his own. It just doesn't look the same, but it's implemented in different ways. That's the thing. And he is defensively an incredible fighter. I got Canelo ducking. Let's see. Hold on. Wait a minute. I got Canelo ducking RC. Now, Adam, real quick, I appreciate you joining in on the show. I appreciate you joining in and coming into the Empire. Hopefully you left a like on the stream, and hopefully I'm glad you're commenting your thoughts and opinions. And please, if you haven't, leave a like on the stream, please. We're doing a lot of work and we're having a lot of fun. We want to get this pushed to everybody around the world. So keep on liking the stream. It'll push up to the algorithm. Share it with other people. Everybody's going to want to see what we got going on. Absolutely. But again, would you mind rephrasing your question, if you would? Because I don't know exactly who you're saying he, in terms of Canelo, is ducking. And again, we're in the championship rounds, so you can now comment whatever you want to discuss, and we'll talk about it absolutely. But please, put your comment in there again, so I can talk about what exactly you are trying to say. But thank you for commenting. Anyway, Ryan's good. Ryan's got way with alcohol too. Hey, the brother. Hey, look. We don't get into the personal vices of the people. We the personal life. We hope everything's okay. We hope everything's all good outside of with all the manner of insanity that we've seen going around. When the exhibition fight came about, seemingly he was focused and ready. Seemingly he's got his stuff in check internally, potentially. I can't speak on what's going on outside. I can't, dare I say, will I? But all we can do is hope and pray that everything is right with him so that he can be better, both within himself, for his family, for his people, and for his career as a whole. Because all this, we want to see you live, get your money, be successful, and live out the rest of your life enjoying it. So whatever, with alcohol, whatever the case may be, if it is indeed a problem, and we pray that it gets better, absolutely. And hey, you can come to the community with us, and we'll give you all the encouragement in the world, with whatever devices they may be, absolutely. But again, I can't speak on the alcohol segment. He did it. Don't get me wrong. He did it, and there was a problem. But hopefully he got it fixed. Hopefully. But that's all we can say. I got Canelo ducking Crawford. Oh, really? You got Canelo ducking Terrence Crawford and not fighting him at all. Ah, see. Ooh. See, would it be a duck? Would it be a duck? Now, I wouldn't. Now, this is a good question for you all. Would it be a duck? I don't know if it would it be a duck if it's such a lopsided goal and turns up on the side? Normally, most people favor Crawford, or Canelo, over Crawford. For the majority of people that I see, and what the internet and the greater landscape of the boxing world sees, it would be an upset if Crawford beat Canelo. So is it a duck if it's something that isn't seen as, while the talent, we understand what the talent is, but everything about the fight shows, for the majority, that Canelo would be favored. And so would it be a duck avoiding somebody that is, for most people, seen as somebody that you will be able to knock out? Now, it's not the same like with Dave Benavidez, who is your direct competition, is directly in front of you, was legitimately the only person that we wanted to see you fight and was deserving of it. All of that, and you avoid him. Or like with Tyson Fury, Usyk deserved his shot at Undisputed, and then you didn't give it to him until money just got thrown your way. That duck, no question. Taking other fights outside of it. But with Crawford, is it a duck if he doesn't fight him? Because that's a dream fight turned reality. But is it a duck because it's, shoot, that's a good question. I got to think about that. Is that a duck if Canelo doesn't fight Terrence Crawford? You know what? I'll say this. For me, maybe not for you, but for me, if Canelo stays at 168 and we see Crawford move up to 160, beat Jamal Charlo, now, if he calls out for Canelo, now we got to call it a duck. Because at that point, it's only a one weight class difference. And that's the only other fight that we all want to see. And at that stage, he fought to potentially, with his pound for pound rankings, with his resume, with his cachet, with his brand, and with his talent alone, all combined, would have looked to say, if anybody had the right to jump the line to get opportunity, he fits that criteria for people that deserve that type of leeway. Hence, if he uses it and then you don't fight him, now we have a problem. So I would say it's not duck territory yet, unless Crawford goes to the table and then there's a fair deal and then Canelo doesn't take it and walks away. Now there's a problem. Now that's a duck also. But overarching circumstance, because we don't know if negotiations are officially underway. Rumored they are. But if it goes that the negotiation table, they sit down The offer is fair. Crawford says yes. Nay, he capitulates to everything that Canelo wants. And Canelo still doesn't take the fight. That would be a duck in scenario one. That would be a duck in scenario one. Scenario two, if we see Crawford move up to 160, beat Jamal Charlo, who's at 160 right now, or beat a good fighter at 160, and then call out Canelo at 168 for the world to see. And now you don't look to take it at that point with only a one weight class difference outside of a 2 to potentially 3. Now that would be a duck in my eyes, officially. Those two conversations for me would make it that, yeah, now you're avoiding Canelo. Or now you're avoiding Crawford, excuse me. I would be able to, for me, I would be able to confidently say that. But listen, he's made the excuse not to fight him already, and they were lying. The excuses tell me that Canelo's very good. So I think the excuses that he's talking about, I believe, is, for those of you who don't know, the excuses that Adam's talking about are, Canelo has said, if I beat Crawford, what does that do for me? And he says that because if I beat Terrence Crawford, if I knock him out, you all are going to say, just like with Jamal Charlo, you knocked out a 154 pounder. You knocked out somebody from 2 weight classes. You were supposed to beat him. This doesn't mean that you're any greater. This doesn't elevate you in any way, in the public eye, in the grand scheme of boxing history. That's what Canelo, I believe that's what he's referring to. In terms of Adam, that's what Canelo has been saying as to why why would he fight Crawford? He doesn't bring him anything. And to a degree, I get where he's coming from. But also to a degree, he's wrong. It's the truth. But it still doesn't make this current situation a duck. Not yet, anyway. But the excuses, the reasoning, the reasoning that Canelo uses. My bad, my boss. Had to catch my breath for a second. The reasoning that Canelo uses, it is valid, but it is also wrong. Because it's valid from the standpoint of, yes, a lot of people would hold that as to it wouldn't elevate Canelo a lot. You beat Crawford just like you beat Charlo, both of them 154. Yes, one fighter is better than the other. Absolutely. But the circumstances and the context, well, you're supposed to beat him. You're bigger than him. You can match him in speed. You should be able to take whatever punches he gives you and knock him out with the greatest of ease. You should be. We've seen what you do. We've seen what you've done against bigger fighters. Now, against a smaller in weight fighter, moving up to your weight class, yeah, you're supposed to handle your business, even against somebody as great. So no, we won't hold it in the same high esteem as if you did beat, again, a Dave Benavidez, or got a title at 175, or those types of fights. So I get what he's saying. However, still wrong. Because the context would be, you beat Terrence Crawford. That is something. That is incredible. Context would say, yes, you were bigger than him. Naturally at 168, absolutely. But you beat Terrence Crawford. Bivol beat you. And Bivol was at a higher weight class than you. Bivol, if you want to go off of physical metrics, is supposed to beat somebody like a Canelo because he's fighting at light heavyweight. But when Bivol beat Canelo, what happened? Pound for pound, top 5 in the world. One now, a recognized name across the boxing landscape. Now is seen legitimately as one of the best of an era. And he beat who he was supposed to beat. So the reasoning is valid, but it's also wrong. Because the same thing happened in reverse. The same thing happened to Canelo that many people feel what happened to Terrence Crawford. Canelo moved up, got beat by a bigger man in their prime. Boom. That fighter gets elevated. Canelo, you attempted to achieve greatness. Both of your cashes get raised. Canelo, the bigger man. Crawford, the smaller man. Crawford moving up to chase greatness. Canelo reigning and defending as champion. Unified, not undisputed, but unified. Canelo beats Crawford, knocks out Crawford. Boom. He gets elevated. His cachet gets even greater. His cachet gets even higher. His legacy gets bumped up even more. Crawford's legacy for attempting to do that also gets bumped up. Everybody succeeds. Hence, nobody should be against the fight. So, that's the problem. It's not that his reasoning is, it's not that the reasoning isn't sound. It's understandable because boxing fans are fickle. The sport is fickle. People pick and choose who they want to support, and people pick and choose what they want to value, which is ridiculous. But the grand scheme of what we've seen and what we would see, regardless of the outcome, would elevate both fighters. So while I get why he says it, he's wrong in saying it. It's not an excuse, but it's not the right reasoning. Especially since you're not going to fight anybody else like David Benavidez. If you can't do that, do this. This is a apt substitute for not fighting Benavidez and still would be able to be good for you. But if you don't do it, problem of with the two circumstances that I talked about, walking away from the table when it was a fair deal, or getting called out when Canelo gets, if Crawford moves up to 160 and proves himself, and then calls you out at 168, and then you don't do anything. Those two scenarios. Now I could have actually called it a duck. But I understand his reasoning for why he says he won't fight him. But the reasoning is still wrong. It's not an excuse. It is valid in its sound logic, but it is wrong when you look at the bigger picture of what this fight would be, in my humble estimation. But let's see what you got to say. Jaden, what you got to say? Yep. Not completely honest. I saw that Canelo said that, and he did seem a little scared. And so you might be scared. Potentially, I could be reading this completely wrong. Potentially, hypothetically, I could be reading this completely wrong. And just from my humble vantage point from what I see, do I really think that he's scared to fight somebody like a Crawford? I don't think so. Do I think maybe he's scared to lose, but not scared of the fighter, scared of the potential result, which for the history of Canelo doesn't really track, if you get what I'm saying. To be scared of the fighter specifically, outside of David Benavidez. Maybe it's hard for me to rationalize he would be scared of somebody from 154, even somebody as great as Crawford. But again, I could be reading it completely wrong. But in my humble estimation, that's what I see as to the reasoning, even though I get it. Because detractors have held that against him. People still hold Terrence Crawford's win against him over Errol Spence. They do. People still hold Usyk's win against Tyson Fury against him, even though it just happened. And they're saying, oh, he can't beat Brooke Coley. He can't beat Daniel Dubois, the world. And so, like, fans are going to be fans. Hypocrites and haters are going to be just that. Does he want to deal with it? I don't know. Sounds like he doesn't. Is he scared? Maybe he is. Maybe he is. I don't think he is. But I could be entirely wrong. You could be absolutely right. No question. Bless you, nerd. Appreciate you joining in on the show. Thank you for tuning in to what we got going on right here on the Welch Report. I'm pretty sure Canelo is shaking his boots when he saw Crawford struggling with Madrimov. See, specifically, Madrimov landed those 3 right hands in a row. See, and that's the thing. With how he looked against Madrimov, understanding that Canelo is above the IQ of Madrimov, it's hard for me to say that he will be scared of somebody like a Canelo, or like a Crawford, excuse me. Though, he did still handle his business against Madrimov. Still, I think I don't know, I can't say that he's scared definitively, but he may be. Or maybe he's not scared of the fighter. He's scared of the result that potentially can happen. I can beat you. But if I don't, do I really want to deal with it? Maybe he doesn't. That's what we're going to have to wait and see. But only time will tell. I feel Canelo's trying to get a huge bag, and I don't think he does. See, and that's why I'm more so falling in line. He's trying to, just like with Tyson Fury, get the most that he can out of this fight. The absolute most that he can. To be able to make sure that he gets more money than he's ever experienced. And he's experienced all the money in the world. That's what, at least for me, that's why I think, that's my more so thinking and rationale for this. But Crawford too small is not a good excuse, because Crawford will be 168, just like him. Now see, that isn't right. That's not right. Crawford will be at the same weight class as Canelo. Yes, he will be. But Crawford will not be 168 with Canelo. No. Crawford will be 168 with Canelo. Canelo will be 170 to 185 comfortably. He's walked around and gotten up to that point multiple times. Canelo has gotten up to, again, light heavyweight and bulked up for that fight too. So he's carried extra weight before. Naturally, he can get up to 170, 175 with ease. Genuine. And in the confines of 168, he can get up there and be comfortable. And even if they are at 168, both even weight, not at a fight, both of them are actually 168. They don't gain any more. Canelo's 168 is not Crawford to 168. Crawford to 168 is put on muscle. Canelo's 168 is built on muscle. Built on means that it is now ingrained in you. Put on means it was just recently added. Imagine you are, what's a good comparison? Imagine you are building a house, or you're putting together some steel beams. You can screw some beams on, and absolutely, and you put on a steel beam. You put it in its place. It's locked down. It ain't going nowhere. Great, cool. Now you compare that to welding a beam together. Those are two different types of seals. Those are two different types of structures. Those are two different types of strengths that the bonds between the beams create. Hence, one is stronger than the other, though they're both the same. Both of them are beams that were put together properly. But one was put on and one was built on. Or rather, one was screwed on and added, and one was welded together. The welded muscle, the welded beam, will always be stronger than the screwed on beam, because the makeup of the muscle and the makeup of the weld are completely different. It's melted and become one. That's why we always want fighters to move up slow, so that you can act properly, put on the weight, so that you don't get overly doing too much to where now your body's compromised. That's the problem. And real quick, Kingdom Within, appreciate you coming in, appreciate you joining in the show. Glad that you came in. Good, go enjoy whatever you got to do. Absolutely. And we'll see you back here next week, absolutely, for what we got going on this show. No question about it. But to go back to answer your question, they're not the same weight. Roy Jones Jr., when he was naturally putting on weight, did it slow. And again, him being incredible, him being able to get up to 200 and boom, be great, phenomenal. But when he stripped away the muscle that was built on over time, that's when he became never himself. With Canelo, he has been slowly but surely welding more muscle on him. And now that's different from just ballooning up to reach a threshold. Now you are the threshold. There's a difference. There is a difference. And that's where the power and the strength is not the same. It wouldn't be the same. So it's not an excuse that he's smaller, but it is a valid critique. You are smaller than Canelo. Your muscle and his muscle are not the same muscle. Your strength and his strength, with all due respect, they're not the same strength. Especially if you move up and balloon this much to reach the level of strength that you're trying to get. Because walking around at 168, as we say Crawford can do, is perfectly fine. But properly and healthily being at 168, that's a different story. You can look the part and not be the part. You can look the part, you can look great and then not have the actual ability to be what you want to be. It's happened. These are the issues when it comes to putting on weight or losing weight. And with Crawford and Canelo, it's not the same 168. The muscle is not the same. The muscle for Canelo has been welded together slowly over time. The bond is stronger. With Crawford, he'll be putting on all that muscle all at once to be able to get ready for the fight. That's where the issue lies. Canelo's been at 168 he moved up from 160 to 168. It's been there for a couple years. That's where the problem is. That's where the issue is. New muscle versus old muscle. Old muscle that's been consistently taken care of. But that's welded together. That's hard to beat from a strength on strength perspective. So you can reach me, but you can't match me. That's the argument that goes for Canelo versus Crawford, from what I can see, at least in my opinion. Imagine didn't throw a combo all night long because he was afraid to get countered, and his face looked like his face looked worse after Spence. Well, no, it didn't look worse than after Spence's fight. No, it did not. It did not look worse than after Spence's fight. Oh gosh, no. I completely disagree with that. But in terms of the countering thing, absolutely. Yeah, he was only throwing ones and twos. Wasn't throwing big combinations like he can do and would do because of the countering ability. But even still, the shots that he was throwing were working because they were off rhythm, because the timing was so unique and different. Made people like Terrence Crawford and others not be able to really read what to do. Hence, when I do come in, you're not prepared for it. And imagine I'm also a smart fighter because he didn't throw because he knew what was coming at him. He operated like he needed to and made the fight as close as it was. Indeed, he did. So he fought the right way against an opponent of the caliber of Terrence Crawford. We got these physical gifts and explosiveness, but understand the threat of what's coming at you. And from a countering perspective, you go and make sure that you don't do too much. But when you do commit, you commit at the right time. And make it as hard for him as possible to do what he wants to do to you. That's exactly what he did, to the best of his ability. Is Jermell Charlo a top win for Canelo? That's a good question. Nerd, that's a good question. That's a good question. It is from a name value standpoint, sure. But the grand scheme of history, no. It's not. It's not. For me, it's not. Triple G is a great win. Cotto, great win. Who else did he beat? James Kirkland was a good win. One of the biggest knockouts that put him on the map. So you can argue that's a great win. Let me go through. Let me go through who he has faced off against, so I can give you the proper context for what. Dang it. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull up the box rec so I can get the names of the people. Give me 1 second. The conversation's still here. Don't worry, we're still talking. We're still moving. I don't know why I am struggling to get. I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. Okay, stop was slow. My apologies. We're good now. So no, is that his best win for Canelo? Or a top win? I don't want to say it because the top wins, Golovkin, Saunders, Callum Smith, Kovalev, Danny Jacobs, Liam Smith, Amir Khan, Miguel Cotto, Laura Kirkland. Shoot, and he beat Austin Trout. I forgot. And he beat Shane Mosley. Nah. So yeah, nah. He's not a top name. He's not a top name. I just listed about 8 people that were better wins than Jermell Charlo. Amir Khan, Miguel Cotto, Laura, Liam Smith, Callum Smith, Gennady Golovkin, Sergio Kovalev, or Sergey Kovalev, excuse me, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant. Yeah, all those are better wins than Jermell Charlo for me. And so everybody Canelo fights. Everybody Canelo's fighting right now, he's supposed to beat. Yes. So Berlanga and Munguia brought Canelo nothing. Well, see, Munguia had earned his shot as, again, 40 and something and 0, undefeated, legitimately was a powerhouse at middleweight, moving up to super middleweight to get opportunity to fight against Canelo with a legitimate proven track record. Okay, yeah, it wasn't a bad one. We assumed he was going to beat him. But just like the thing with that fight, just like with Canelo and Floyd, from the standpoint of youth versus experience, he could have beat, like, on paper, Floyd beating Canelo, or was Floyd an underdog in that fight? I guess hindsight says that, yeah, Canelo wasn't ready for the talent and the acumen that Floyd had at his disposal. So Canelo was a fighter that at that point in time, yeah, Floyd should have beat. But we don't hold that against him. This is the same thing. Old line learning from young line. At least we thought he was learning. Munguia, young line, learning from Canelo, the old line. You're going to lose, most likely, but you're going to give a good fight, and this is going to be a quality win because you are indeed a good talent, and you should be able to go from this. So, no, that wasn't a bad one. Berlanga, horrible, because he didn't belong in the ring at all. He had done nothing up until this point to earn any semblance of a shot at Canelo, unlike Munguia. So, yeah, that was a bad one. But Munguia, it didn't add anything, but it didn't take away anything. Berlanga, that took away something. Berlanga was hard. Absolutely, Berlanga was terrible. Absolutely terrible. At least for me. But let's see. Come on. Pull up the thing. We got more comments. We got more people coming through. We got more people tuning in. Absolutely. Let's see what people have got to say on the stream. Dang it. I want to pull it up, but let's see. Who? Is that Senna? Sanctor? Diascoro. I think I'm saying your name right. Hopefully I am. But appreciate you joining in on the show. Glad you're here. Glad you're back. I don't know why I can't pull up your comment on the thing. It's not, for some reason, it ain't working. I have no clue as to why. But I'm going to read your comment anyway because I appreciate you joining in on the stream. We're in the championship rounds, by the way. So whatever you want to talk about, we can discuss and conversate about. And it's all well and good to be able to absolutely see what you got to say. But let's see what you got to say on this fine and esteemed day. Let's see what you got to say. Pull it up. Here we go. So, hold on, fam. Now, how do you know they don't have the same or more strength? But without the added muscle is over here deadlifting 400 pounds, and it's not weaker, scrawny human. Again, he's not. Absolutely, he's not. Absolutely, he is not. I am not saying that Crawford is weak. No, I'm not. But I am saying when in the boxing regime, we have seen we're putting on muscle too quickly or too much at a time can make you look like, yes, you are stronger. But functional strength is different. Again, screwing beams together versus welding beams together. It's a different type of bond, different type of functionality, different type of solidity at what the structure and integrity of the beam is. When it comes to Canelo, the functional strength at 168 in terms of what you can do with the added muscle physically, retaining everything, that's different than potentially what we would see from Crawford. Even if Crawford can, again, let's say he's just as strong as him. He may lose some speed. He may lose stamina. He may lose a lot of some things that can make Canelo or that can make Crawford. Like with Canelo when he moved up to 175 to fight against Bivol. He ballooned up too much. He gained too much weight for that fight. And he lost stamina, lost head movement, and looked the worst we'd ever seen because he couldn't be the Canelo that we know he can be. He wasn't fighting like the Canelo that we know he can fight as. He just wasn't. It wasn't just that he got outboxed. He did. But he also wasn't the same him. When it comes to moving up, there is a science to moving up. Not saying that Crawford isn't doing that. But I'm saying there is limits for everybody's body as to how much functional ability they have to still be who they are when moving up to a weight class. Even if you get up to be as strong as another weight class, you as a fighter may be completely different. That's where the issue lies. If Crawford gains all this muscle to get as strong as Canelo, because he is indeed a pound for pound insane human being. Absolutely. I would never discredit that. What I would discredit is that functional strength of being able to use it inside the ring. You may be stronger, but now you've taken away a couple aspects of what makes you the fighter that is arguably the best in the world. In my top pound for pound, third behind Inoue and Usyk. It may take away that aspect of you because you now lose that because you no longer are the you that you have been all this time. Because the added weight took something from you. That's what we could see from this fight. If it hopefully that helps clears up some confusion when it comes to why exactly the concern for the fight is the concern for said fight, and why we bring up that the weight may not be exactly what it should be, or the weight may be a bigger factor than we may be giving it really some credit for. At least my humble estimation. But again, we said, Fight Buzz, what's going on with it? Glad that you're tuning in. Glad that you're joining in on the live. Absolutely. We still are running strong on this show. And again, we're in the championship rounds right now. Leave your chats and comments in the show below. We got a lot to talk about. We can still talk about anything that we want to. We're talking about the functional strength of Crawford versus Canelo. If that fight did take place, would it be that with Crawford adding muscle, would he be adding too much muscle? And it could take away what we know Crawford can fight as in terms of the innate ability, as we've seen with other fighters. Add too much or take away too much. Now, you're no longer the same you that we know you can be. That could be a problem. As I see, Munguia did not earn a shot. That's not true. He did. Let's not do that. I'm not saying he should have been bolted up to the front of the line. But what he had done at middleweight, he was in the sweepstakes. There was a whole sweepstakes for Canelo into who he should fight next. It was either him or Berlanga or Benavidez. He was in that sweepstakes when he officially announced he moved up, and especially after he had knocked out John Ryder, which is something that Canelo couldn't do. So yes, he did deserve that. He deserved an opportunity. Was he high up on the list? It was Benavidez, it was Munguia, and then it was sadly Berlanga as the third option. But even still, that was the conversation. Munguia knocking out John Ryder earned the shot to be able to say, yeah, you deserve to be in line to fight with Canelo. So yeah, I would say that he did deserve it. Because when he moved up, he faced off immediately in his first fight against an opponent that Canelo had just faced off against and that went the distance with Canelo, and you knocked him out. So yeah, he did deserve that shot. In my opinion, absolutely. For my money, yeah, he did deserve the shot. And Munguia, he didn't do anything at 160. Again, he was undefeated at 160. Cleaned out just about at 160. 168, moved up, fought John Ryder, which was part of you beat him, you can get Canelo. We're all talking about it. It was widely accepted and understood. He knocked out John Ryder, something that Canelo never did, couldn't do. Then gets a shot with Canelo. Loses to Canelo. We expected that. Boom. Everybody's happy. Let's see what you can do to him to evolve. Now you faced off against Socrates and you get knocked out by Socrates. Now you are in dire straits. Now you're in concern. Now you're in trouble. Now you are in danger. Now you're underachieving. Now we have a problem. So at 168, you can have that conversation. But up until 168 and up until after Canelo, I would say that I think, yeah, he did deserve that shot. Or at least, while he wasn't the most deserving of it. He deserved it more than Berlanga. And he deserved it less than David Benavidez. Caleb Plant was already out the running. Durrell out the running. Boo Boo Andre was still recovering, I believe, from the beating that he took from Benavidez. I don't know who else should have been in the running for that fight. At least for me. Is he? And let's see. Oh, we got still more comments. My bad. Let's see. Munguia been in the sweepstakes since he beat Saddam Ali, and that's been talk. No, it's been a rumor. It was a rumored fight that it was like, oh, Mexican on Mexican war, firefighter on firefighter, would be fireworks. Love to see that fight, and it was a good fight. He lost. It was a phenomenal fight, absolutely. But the issue was, will he get there? Once he actually got within the threshold, John Ryder was the benchmark. Did all this at 160. If you beat John Ryder, now of the other eligible and wanted fighters at 168, who is it that is next in line? Or who should be at the top of the list? Benavidez 1, who should be 2, 3, 4, whatever the case may be. It was widely accepted, again, if Munguia had a great performance, let alone knocked out John Ryder, it would push him to that forefront of outside of Dave Benavidez. This is the fight that we as fans can accept, that he would have, in the fans' eyes, in the public eye, earned a shot at legitimately. And if he upsets Canelo, my gosh, the man earned legitimately an opportunity, took it, achieved, boom, now is a champion. Another rising star is born. And even when he lost, a rising star was born. Because it was like, hey, brother, you fought well. I want to see you again. I want to see you fight again. I want to see where else you can go. People wanted to follow him again. So that's the truth. And so, yeah, hey, for my money, again, that's me. That's me. You can disagree. I completely understand. Everybody's got their own opinions and reasonings as to why. I can only tell you what I saw and what I understood, living and following in the moment. Why exactly, in my opinion, this was a deserved shot from Munguia. Now afterwards, hey, no excuse that he got knocked out by Socrates, but it was only 4 KOs. No excuse that he still didn't work on his defense. It's no excuse that he didn't learn anything about how to be more technically sound when it came to walking and dominating in opponents. And he was dominating Socrates for the majority of the fight. But when the counters did come, he was still getting caught and didn't bother to adapt. Still is flat-footed, still was swinging some shots, still wasn't setting up shots like I would like for him to do. Was going to the body, loved that. Was fighting like Munguia, took some semblances that he learned from Canelo into the fight with Socrates, but it wasn't enough, as we clearly see. So, for me, that's how I feel. But if you don't think he earned it, I completely understand. But the past is the past, and the point is now, the brother got knocked out. All this is to say, the brother got knocked out at 168 in his third fight after beating John Ryder and going the distance with Canelo, though he was carried by Canelo. So now, the problem is, brother, where did the drop-off happen? How did you let this happen? And what are you going to do to recover? Because if you don't, boy, howdy, we got ourselves a barn burner of a bright flame of a career snuffed out at the drop of a hat. Absolutely, at the drop of a hat, just snuffed and done away with. But that's what I got to say on that one. But real quick, more important, one more thing I got to discuss about this show. What about Usyk? I did have it in the title, did we not? I almost forgot that I had it in the title, something that we need to discuss. But again, we still are in the last couple minutes of the championship rounds. Anybody can still talk, no question. But real quick, Usyk, and with his recent dominant win against Tyson Fury, being the best heavyweight in the world, pound for pound, in my opinion, number one, and outright an all-time great boxer. Where he ranks, for me, at least in the top 25. You can argue top 15. But now that we have this landscape of heavyweight really laid out, we talked about on the last show who the world can beat this brother. Is there an actual opposition that can stop the rise of Usyk while he's still seemingly in his prime, even at 38, 37 years old? Incredible, right? Phenomenal, right? Everybody's defying Father Time all of a sudden. First it was Pacquiao, then it was LeBron. Now it's Usyk. It just doesn't make any sense. Laura is still a champion somehow at 40-something years old. We got people like Artur Beterbiev, 40, 41 years old, still dominating with a busted knee, still being able to go and beat Bebo to be the undisputed heavyweight, light heavyweight champion of the world. It's insane. Well, regardless of which, when it comes to Usyk now, where is the stopping point and who can actually take him out? Is there a viable option? Or are we just blowing smoke and saying we just want to see anybody and everybody? Is there legitimate, in your opinion? Do you think there's an actual cause to say somebody can beat this man? And I would say there is one, or dare I say two. There are two people that I think could actually beat him. And no, it's not Moses Atuma. Though some people want to say that because they want to get their shots off. No, Atuma ain't ready for that yet. Nowhere close to ready for that. Not yet. You want to say Bakoli? I don't think it's Bakoli. Not yet. Though, my gosh, that would be insane to see. But I don't think so yet. Now, again, you may think so. And I can completely see. I can completely see that. They say you got Usyk's biggest threat is Bakoli or Zhang, in your opinion? It's not bad at all. I completely understand. And again, I don't know why I can't bring up the comments like I want to on here. And I don't know why, because I can only bring up these, but now I can't bring up the stuff that's coming in afterwards. So I apologize, but I'm seeing what you're saying. Absolutely. And so you think that Bakoli and Zhang? I don't think Bakoli is the biggest challenge. Truly, I don't. Though I can wholeheartedly understand why. Absolutely understand why. The power and the width of the man, the size of Bakoli, the arm punching of Bakoli, deceptive speed of Bakoli, and the reach of this man. He can reach it from across the room. Absolutely. That fight with Jared Anderson put him on the map. This is what I can do against small heavyweights. If you ain't my size, this is what I can do to you. Absolutely. Oh, it's a dangerous sight to see. It's a scary sight to see. It's a horrifying sight to see and witness when you're looking at Bakoli. But I don't think he's the biggest one. I don't. Because his defense is something that I'm still hesitant on. The technical ability of Bakoli is something that I don't think it's there to be able to go and maul somebody like Usyk, especially in the later rounds when he turns it up. Because it's not going to be like Jared Anderson who's doing all this nonsensical, essentially show defense. That show defense, for those who don't know, is flashy defense. Defense that looks pretty. What's his name? Boots Ennis does it too. All these different changes in guards, all these different slips and movements, all this stuff. It looks great, absolutely. But it's done in a fashion that isn't effective. It's done in a fashion that isn't timely. It isn't smart. It is not utilized in its proper time. It's just done because it's done. Thus, that's not what needs to happen. So why Boots gets tagged a lot more than he should with big shots like he did against Shukajan and David Avenesian. That's why Bakoli knocked out Jared Anderson, because Anderson and his guard, all that flashy defense, didn't move his head a lick. Or didn't get him out the way of anything, excuse me. He moved his head, but he kept moving his head into shots. It was all this manipulating of the guard when it didn't amount to anything because he wasn't doing anything. It wasn't effective defense. It was just flashy defense. He's been getting away with that up until now. Usyk doesn't do that. And the stamina of Usyk, I need to see Bakoli at a high rate fighting against somebody for 12 rounds. That's not going to be something that he has been against to the level of Usyk. Not saying he can't do it. I don't think he can. And the technical ability as a whole, I think that there's a different league. There's just a different league as of right now. So I don't think he's there. But who I think is there is two people. One, as you just put in the chat, Zhang. Big Bang Zhang. That's right. But it's going to have to be before round 5. He's got 5 rounds to beat Usyk. If he doesn't beat Usyk in 5 rounds, he's done. You put down Joseph Parker twice. Only time I can remember him being down was against Joe Joyce and was against AJ. You put him down twice, and if he had stamina, you could have taken him out. You knocked out Deontay Wilder. You should have beaten Hrgovic, but you didn't. But you stunned Hrgovic multiple times in that fight. You've knocked out Joe Joyce. You knocked out Joe Joyce again. You broke the chin of seemingly the best chin in boxing in Joe Joyce, or at least tied with the best for Tyson Fury. That man, with his legitimate technique, his actual refined, simplistic defense, the old school ability to catch punches, the combinations that he can throw, the speed, the hand speed, some of the fastest in the division, outright, the IQ and the ability to set up shots, the chin on him and the power, the ability to go down to the body, and to be smart and accurate with his punches, and with him being a southpaw. He's got all the skills to be able to beat Usyk. He ain't got the stamina. But my gosh, if we can get it done before 5, before Usyk turns it up, he can get him out of there, he can beat him. Absolutely, he can beat him. And on top of that, the second person is Daniel Dubois. In my opinion, second person is Daniel Dubois. I think Daniel Dubois. And it's because of what he's learned from the past. This Daniel Dubois is so focused on what he is and not what he is not. We thought he was going to get steamrolled by AJ. Walked through AJ. We thought he was going to not be able to last against Jarrell Miller. Knocked out Jarrell Miller in Jarrell Miller's home territory, which is the 12th round, when he normally gasses everybody up, even on post-PEDs. He was able to find himself against Hrgovic and stop Hrgovic and eat whatever punishment comes his way and dish out anything that he needs to. And from the weakness that we saw from that last fight with the body, that some people argue should have been a knockdown, should have been a knockout in some people's eyes. But for many, with the understood weakness of Usyk, which is going downstairs, and the power to Daniel Dubois and the consistency that he can go downstairs, we could see him as the one man that could, if anybody was going to derail it could be him or Zhang. He's now got the mental fortitude to be able to say, I'm not going to quit. A Daniel Dubois that doesn't quit, more so a Daniel Dubois that's mean and is more so brash, like it was in the interview. It's more so disrespectful. It's more so confident in himself. That is a Daniel Dubois that everybody was scared to see. And now we're seeing it coming to fruition. This Daniel Dubois, I'm not saying he's better. No, he's not. All the things I said with Bakoli, it's still the same things I said with Daniel Dubois. Usyk is still a better boxer than Zhang, still a better boxer than Dubois. No question. He's the cream of the crop, and nobody does it better right now. But when it comes to who can upset Usyk, Dubois has now the mentality. He's got the fortified mental state to say, I'm not going to quit now. I can go in deep waters with you and dig deep. I can go and pull myself up if I need to now. I can go and withstand what comes at me. I can plant my feet and stamp my ground because I refuse to die to myself like I did the last time. Oh, it's a newfound level of determination. It's a newfound level of hunger. It's a newfound level of fire that he's got in him. And that is what can beat Usyk. Coupled with the power. Coupled with the outright forward aggression. That, again, Fury was having success with in his fight with Usyk. So there is plot points that we can see Dubois use from past fights and from past opponents that's faced off against Usyk to implement in his own game. It ain't going to be technical, though. It's going to be brutish. It's going to be mauling. It's going to be deliberate. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. But that's exactly why it can be effective. Everybody doesn't need a box with everybody. Everybody doesn't need to brawl with everybody. But at some situations, you got to do what is going to work. And in this case, Dubois can't outbox him. But brother, he can go toe-to-toe with him. At least he can look to make it a brawl. Not saying that he'll win. But there is an opportunity to win. Mark my words, there is no question in my mind that somebody like a Dubois, especially now, with the newfound fire inside of him and what he's capable of, he is willing to look inside and look across the ring and say, no longer are you above me from a talent perspective. In my eyes, in my mind. Now you are just an opponent that I got to get through. Dubois wasn't thinking like that before. Dubois wasn't working like that before. Dubois was not acting like that before. Now, this Dubois, he's acting like it. And that mentality is now making his ability be the best that it can be. This is the Dubois that we wanted to see when he first stepped on the scene. This is the Dubois that we raved about. He could upset Usyk. He could upset AJ. He could be one of the biggest faces in heavyweight boxing. One of the new darlings of the UK. He could be all that. That's what was placed on him as a hot commodity. Now, this is the mentality that can push him to reach it. And against Usyk, he's going to need it. And I think he's got it right now. Truly, I think he does. And let's see what you got to say. I said Bakoli not so much because of what he does. It's because of the tendency of Usyk does to himself that exposes us to, okay. So I assume you're talking about the uppercut. You're talking about Bakoli's uppercut when Usyk ducks down in the midst of the bobbing and weaving and the being unpredictable. The style of Usyk that he fights is similar to Lomachenko. Oh, I completely forgot about that. Bakoli's style, punching-wise, is perfectly fit to catch where Usyk comes to throw. It's perfect. I completely forgot about that. Martin Bakoli is a fight. Where's my music? Martin Bakoli. I didn't. Now that you say that, Martin Bakoli is perfectly suited from a punching perspective to land and tag and hurt Usyk where Usyk goes to slip and duck. Absolutely. And with a lack of willingness, again, he's not a great defensive fighter. He just relies on his ability to take punishment. With the lack of care, like what we saw with Jared Anderson, for what's coming back his way, he'll be all offense. And just like with Fury in this fight, make him back up, make him not fight fire with fire by coming forward and meeting Usyk when Usyk tries to come forward and meet him. And then now, that quick, just almost like you're flipping a cup is how Bakoli throws an uppercut. Like you're swatting a fly is how he throws his hooks. And that straight right is so long and it's like a piston. It's so powerful. Oh, he's got the punches to do it. Martin Bakoli has the. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sanctus Jesus or Sanctus Deus. I'm so sorry. Absolutely. He's got the ability to beat him. He's got the ability to knock him out with the punch selection. Because it's perfectly suited that everywhere that Usyk would slip and or get and reset you. But Coley's punches are right there. He ducks down, that uppercut's coming right in the midst, even if they're close together. Even if they're in the clinch or in fighting. Uppercut coming up, boom, knocked out. Just like with Fury when he was catching Usyk when he was moving to his left, but Coley can do that same thing, but with more power. My gosh, that straight right down the pipe that Fury threw against Usyk that caught Usyk and hurt Usyk slightly, but Coley can do that same thing. Maybe not to the same degree because his timing isn't as great as Fury. Again, Fury is, again, different animal. We get it. But even still, it's there. My gosh, it's there. I didn't even think about it. I'm sorry I didn't read the comment earlier. I didn't even think about it. Yeah. Usyk is incredibly diverse and movement oriented. But where you move is also where something can meet you. And Coley, like with Jared Anderson, one of his best performances was punching and meeting Jared Anderson where he moved, not just where he was. And that's something that Coley can do. I didn't even think about it. My gosh. Okay, yeah. So let me rephrase that. There's 3 people that can beat Usyk: Zhang, Coley, and Dubois. The best bet would be Dubois, in my opinion. Second best would be Zhang. Third best would be Coley. My gosh. Yeah. Shoot. Yeah, he's not George Foreman. Nowhere close. Nowhere in the slightest. But the semblance of weight carried punches that just seem to come off the hip. There is a resemblance. Not in terms of the whole. Just in that aspect. There's a resemblance there. There is a resemblance there. Let's see. I had AJ versus Dubois as a 50-50 fight. I wasn't remotely surprised when he got slipped. I thought he was going to be the AJ with the newfound track record that he had shown from his career as he had rebuilt his confidence and rebuilt his trust in himself and in his power, which he has seemingly lost. With his beating, with him first fighting Franklin, then knocking out Robert Lanius, then beating Ngannou, and then knocking out Ngannou, and then knocking out Otto Wallin. Boom. But it looked like it was back. And Dubois, we were still questioning what he was, even though he had seen the rise of him in his own research. It was a battle of 2 redemption stories. Dubois getting the moniker of quitter shaken off of him, and AJ getting the confidence to be an offensive fighter again. It was the battle of 2 redemption stories. And obviously, which one came out on top? Which was indeed Daniel Dubois. Absolutely. I like Dubois. Likeable demeanor, and he's tough versus Parker. And he's in tough versus Parker, though. He is. Dubois, outside the ring, incredibly nice. Level. Great personality. But now he now understands the game. More so, he understands the switch. There's a switch that you need to flip. Not saying he doesn't do it already, but it's a different one. Different from just, okay, now I'm fighting. No, now it's, I'm him. Dubois didn't have that switch yet. Now he does. And now he's got that against everybody. Him versus Parker, gonna be a phenomenal fight. The explosiveness of Parker, with the power that he's got, with the determination of Dubois, and also the known stamina that he now has. Will we see Parker do what Zhang couldn't, or will we see Dubois do what Zhang couldn't do, which was hurt, drop, and knock out Joseph Parker? Or will we see Joseph Parker continue this insane redemption in the second half of his career, beating Zhang, beating Wild, and then beating Dubois to get the title? Now you got a shot at undisputed against Usyk. My gosh, talk about a storyline. Talk about incredible feats. After we thought that the chances for him getting back in the title after getting knocked out by AJ and then getting knocked out by Joe Joyce was about finishing over. Hey, timeline's incredible, phenomenal, stupendous, ridiculous even. And it's, oh my gosh. It's going to be a sight to see. Somebody's going to dig deep. Somebody, more so, I think Dubois is going to dig deep. And will he put it out? It's a 50-50 fight for me. because both of their styles, when I look at them, they can do Parker with those wild hooks, especially when he really gets going, can catch Dubois and knock him out. Dubois, like we saw against AJ, when he knocked out AJ, it wasn't even a full-blown big hook that hurt him, like he was throwing all night long. It was almost like a check-like hook. After he had gotten hurt and had been defensive, didn't even look like the hardest punch of the night. Boom, caught him and hurt him, dropped him, ended him. So it's like both of them can put each other out. Honestly, I don't know who to pick. For now, when that fight gets closer and closer, I'll break it down and I'll talk about it, absolutely. But as of right now, it's a 50-50 fight for me. And I don't know who exactly to choose in the grand scheme of who will win that affair. But with all that being said, we have come up on roughly 3 hours on this show? It's been a phenomenal show. It's been a phenomenal, we've had a time. Oh, absolutely, we've had a time. But with all that being said, I think that we are in a good place. It's time to bid you all adieu. So, with the thousands in attendance and the hundreds watching at home, this has been another episode of The Watch Up with me, Jean-Luc Welch, to ring in the new year. Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. Hopefully you liked what we had going on. Hopefully you enjoyed everything that we brought to the table, and all of you that commented, joined in, and truly took time out of your day on New Year's Day to listen to what we got on this show. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You all mean the world to me. We're building this community up. We're becoming bigger and better and better as time goes on. Absolutely thanks to you and your support. Don't forget we're available on every podcasting platform imaginable. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars and listen to us there. Share the show with everybody that you know. We'll be back here every week, and now we're going to do it, I believe, on 12 o'clock. We're going to keep giving roll back 12 o'clock to go and do the show. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Happy New Year to everybody. Peace and love. We are out of here. Yes, sir. See you all next week. Have a great time. Enjoy the weekends. Next week, oh, by the way, next week, be prepared. We got to talk about some NBA action. We didn't get to touch on it on this show, but with some trades going through, with the trade deadline approaching, with the Lakers making a move and getting D'Lo out of there, we're going to talk about it next week on Tuesday. Not just about the trade, but the current success of said trade as the games continue to come through. They just lost to Cleveland, but again, they lost to the best team in the NBA, arguably, in the Cleveland Cavaliers. But even still, you don't want to miss what we got going on next week. We'll be able to cover everything on the show when it comes through. So be safe, have fun. We'll see you all next week.